Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are back. It is that time of week. What time, I hear you asking? Well, it's that time where I invite you to get your freak on. Oh, yes, indeed. Time for Freaky Friday, everyone. I look forward to this day of the week every single week. And I want to welcome everyone here listening to the show. All of the masses over at the TFR Wookie Cave. That's our own chat room at the home of Freaky Friday. TFRlive.com/chat, where you too can participate in all of the banging stuff going on in the chat room. And of course, we're going out on TFR Live, which means we're going out on iHeartRadio, TalkStream Live, and TuneIn radio apps, and probably, possibly, definitely a lot more platforms as well. And we're also going out live onto YouTube on the Kev Baker Show channel. Before we go anywhere today, this kicks off a real 5 hour, maybe longer marathon of pure woo woo. Yes, you know, all those stories that make you go woo. And of course, we get into the strange, we get into the paranormal, we get into the abnormal here on Freaky Friday, followed directly by our good friend Brent Thomas. And he will take you gently by the hand. He will lead you through his paranormal portal. All of that right here on TFRlive.com, your number one network where we give you protection from deception. And I try to give you all of that woo that so many of you seem to crave. Now, right off the bat, you'll be thinking, well, now Kev is going to play the Wookiee, or he's going to introduce Scotty Lopez, or Joe Joseph. He's going to come into the mix. It's totally different here this week, folks. Nobody likes me anymore. I'm only joking. Joe will be here later on as the stream progresses. And also, a big shout out to our brother, Scotty Lopez, who is feeling very, very under the weather right now. And Scotty is such a huge part of this show that I'm going to have to work double, maybe triply hard to try and bring it up to the level that the Woo Crew often delivers to all of you great people out there right now. And take this opportunity before I head on over to the Wookiee Cave, if you will, to tell everyone about Freaky Friday. Shout it at them, give them the link, make them come here, tell them about TFR. And I reckon out of all the shows on here, over 30 hosts and shows, I would imagine if it's not Freaky Friday that is their cup of tea, they will certainly find something that most definitely is. So, like I say, I'm going to head on over to the TFR chat room and give all of the Wookiees their traditional. It is a tradition here now. It's almost a ritual that we go through before we launch into some really amazing topics. And just because it's me here on my own tonight, don't think for 1 minute this ain't going to be a top notch Freaky Friday, because I have been looking tirelessly in the background for all of the kind of stories that make me go woo. And I know they're all of the kind of stories and topics that make you go woo too. So then, heading on over to the chat room at tfrlive.com. Dang! It's busy in there. I love to see that. And of course, if anyone is over on the YouTube live stream, please, 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 if you can, show some support for the home of Freaky Friday and of the Kev Baker Show, and head on over to tfrlive.com/chat, where you can be in two chat rooms for the price of none. I love that. It's awesome. So then, shall we begin the roll call? Yes, indeed. First up, we have got Sophia, the robot, and she literally is a chatbot. I'm not making it up. She is really one of these non-player characters, as some people would like to call them. But then, into the land of the living, or I sure hope you are, we've got my good friend Alan, who has called into the show before. We've got Bam in there. Cold brews. Oh, I could do with one of them right now. I truly could. That'd be nice. We've also got Silamo. Please check out Silamo's blog. I'm sure he will drop the link for all of you great people into the TFR chat room so you can check that out. We have also got the Wookiee. We've got somebody called A Letter I Don't Pronounce and Do. Then we've got Waffle Buddy, The Ancient Once, Nabrasquatch. Oh, I like that. Nebrasquatch. Great name. Oh, fantastic. I like that one. We've got the Paradoxical Anomaly. We've got Bill 13. We've got the hilarious and the absolutely brilliant Nacy, a.k.a. Kev. No, not this Kev. It's Kev from Minnesota. And he calls into the show and he's been part of this network since day one. Love you to bits, bro. We've got Pollination out there. We've got Mannerus. Great to see you in the chat, my know-me friend. We've got Little Giant. I'm a bit of a, just a little man. There's nothing giant about me. We've got the Gentle Civilian. I like that. Great newcomer and a gleeful individual. Absolutely fantastic. Now, I'd love to give everyone on all of the platforms, each and every one of you tuning in right now, even if you're in the car, you might be eating dinner, you might just be getting up in the morning if you're down in Australia. A big shout out to all of our Australian audience. And a big shout out to somebody called Rowan or Rowan. Depends where you are, how you pronounce that. I would say Rowan, one of our Australian listeners. I got the chance to interact with him on Facebook today. And I really do. I like getting to know all of the audience, be it the Kev Baker Show, be it Freaky Friday, or just open-minded people in general. Really great to come across like-minded individuals. And I know that we're all singing off the same song sheet here because we're all looking for answers. And on a Friday, we're all looking for the woo. I think earlier on today, most of you may have missed it, but there was a very nice and tranquil and quiet, laid back, kicked back kind of stream that I done to get some of you in the mood for the Freaky Friday. And I don't know about you people out there, right? But there's something about creepy dolls. Always something about creepy dolls. I've mentioned this before. And I know they're harmless, right? Or at least on the face of it, they should be. They're a child's toy. There can't be anything bad going on there. What are you talking about, Kev? Well, just to give you an idea of what I was talking about today without going too deeply into it, there's a family, and I believe they're over in Texas, I believe, and they had one of these Elsa dolls. You know, the hit movie, the Disney movie, Frozen? Well, one of the main characters from that is called Elsa. She's got her own doll out there. And this was the topic of conversation earlier on today. Because what had happened to this family was very peculiar indeed. Not on one occasion, but twice. So they had this Elsa doll. Back in 2013, they got it for their daughter, I assume. Although I probably shouldn't assume what toys go to individual genders nowadays. Pardon me. However, what happened was the eyes on the doll got coloured in. So when the eyes on the doll got coloured in, after some time, instead of doing its usual singing in English anytime it was press the button or whatever you do to it, it started to sing the song in Spanish, even when it was switched off. So obviously this gave rise to a bit of a creep factor. What's going on with this doll, right? They chuck it out into the garbage. They put garbage upon garbage upon garbage. And not only that, the garbage man comes along, lifts the garbage can, takes the garbage can, or the garbage, sorry, to the garbage dump. And I'm saying garbage a lot, right? Because this article today had garbage everywhere through it, but it was a great article, a great story. And you know, this is covered by the mainstream. I'm not joking you. The Daily Mail, today.com in the US, there's local affiliates around Houston have been covering this as well. The story of the creepy doll that once it got taken to the garbage dump, much to the people's surprise, the doll turned up again. Not only that, but they only found out it had come back when they went into some kind of chest, maybe a set of drawers, and when they opened it, there was the doll sitting on top, same coloured in eyes, same Spanish song, and you can imagine this freaked them out. So she decided, the mum in the case, decided to send the doll away. And it said in the article she chose a friend to send the doll to at the other side of the country. And the doll is now tied onto the front of a Jeep. Now, why anyone would put a creepy doll on the front of their Jeep, I do not know. But when she was getting ready to send it to her friend, I mean, what kind of friend do you send a haunted object to? I don't know if friend's the right word for that. But anyway, it got worse. Because as she was packing this doll away, it started to uncontrollably giggle. It gives me the creeps. It really does. And there's something about dolls. And we were having a brilliant conversation with Brent Thomas from the Paranormal Portal earlier. He was talking a lot about these dolls and was telling me that originally when dolls were first created, there's a story that goes, and I have heard this before, that these things were actually not created as toys. No, no, no. They were created as vessels for some kind of spiritual entity, be it good, be it bad, I do not know. But then you take into account the story of the Golem, where they made figurines out of clay and indwelt that with spirits, evil spirits as well. There's stories about that over the ages. These inanimate objects, folks, I don't know what's going on there. But there certainly seems to be something creepy going on with them. And I'm sure if we were to look, there would be a bajillion and one creepy doll stories. But me, for one, I can't get into dolls too much because they literally do put the fear of the big man into me. They really do. I don't know why. You know, I was ready to go to war, trained killer in the army, but dolls, not so much. I wouldn't be going fighting no battles on the island of dolls, that's for sure. But yeah, that's how I kind of set myself into the mood, got myself ready for what we call the woo. We've got a number of stuff we can get into today, a number of topics. And of course, as I tend to do on my own show during the week, we'll be able to turn on the phones and give you the chance to add your woo to Freaky Friday. Now, we kind of keep it specific on a Friday for the Freaky Friday, for the woo. I want your ghost stories. Maybe you, as a child, had a doll. Maybe your child now has a doll that maybe makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable when you're tied in the room and you catch it out the corner of your eye. Maybe you think it moved. I don't know. Something weird going on with these dolls, though. And we got into the subject of Dybbuk boxes, and there's a eBay. There's actually a booming trade in like creepy dolls or haunted boxes or haunted this and haunted that. And I would just say to people, be very aware if you're going to get something like that. A, be aware what you're dealing with. You know, you're inviting possibly, potentially something pretty creepy into the house. But I would imagine 9 times out of 10, if it's on eBay and you're only seeing still images and you've only got a description from a person desperate to sell something to go on, maybe be a bit skeptical there. But that doesn't mean that creepy objects and creepy dolls don't exist. So I hope that set us up nicely. We'll start off today. I'm going to be taking a look at one of the topics that we have spoke about a number of times here on the show. And that is, why is it so many people have gone missing over the years, not only just in the national parks of the US, but under very strange and mysterious circumstances. Some, fortunately, turn up maybe a day or two, week or two later, and that's okay, they turn up. However, some just disappear without a trace. Now, one person that's at the forefront of all of this kind of research is an ex-cop called David Paulides. Now, he has a series called Missing 411. I believe to date he's written something like 8 or between 8 and 10 books on this topic. Now, when he first got out of the police, he was actually interested in the Bigfoot phenomena. And on one of his trips to a national park in the US, he was approached by park rangers. And they actually pulled him aside, had a conversation with them, and they said to him, "Are you aware of some of the woo, some of the strangeness that goes down in our forests?" And David, I would imagine, was thinking, well, yeah, I'm here to find the Sasquatch or at least look for evidence thereof. Well, no, it was something completely different that the actual park wardens, or whatever you call them over there, park rangers, I'm not sure, whoever it was, they were telling him, no, David, there's something far more sinister, something far more mysterious, and it involves humans. And it's the fact that so many of them seem to go missing. Like I say, inexplicably. There 1 minute, you turn around to do something, and you look back and they're gone, just gone. Maybe you're walking along a trail in a group of 3 or 4, and before you know it, you get back to camp, and that 3 or 4 has become 2 or 3. Somebody just disappeared. How can that happen? Well, we're going to take a look at some of the strangest missing 411 cases tonight. And when we do open up the phones, I would love for some of you to offer your explanation or your ideas as to what may be going on with some of the cases. I say some because I struggle to think that there's one answer to so many missing cases. And we're talking in the thousands here over the years, folks. In fact, it's hard to put a number on. Because for some strange reason, the national parks in America, they're not very keen on releasing the numbers of people that go missing within the boundaries of their parks. And I remember listening to David on Coast to Coast one time, and he was talking about when he went to put in a Freedom of Information request to try and get his hands on these figures to see just how frequent or just how prevalent a problem this is. Now, off the top of my head, it was something ridiculous like $1 million or something like that he would have had to have paid to get access to these numbers. And then there was other stories where they don't keep records of the people who go missing. Now, you can't tell me in this age of bureaucracy and red tape and cataloguing and listing everything that they don't take count of how many people go missing. That just doesn't make sense. And for me, it adds to a little bit of the woo factor. Now, I'm sure in some cases there's a very, very logical, down to earth, not so supernatural explanation, but not for all of them. And it just takes that one anomaly, just that one thing out of the abnormal, paranormal, supernatural, to make this something very, very important. And that's why we're going to take a look at what are called some of the most famous or some of the most curious cases of missing people in these parks. Now, whether these are the best cases or not, I'm not sure, because there's so many that we could go on. And I would urge anyone, if you see David Paulides talking on Coast to Coast, or you see his work, or if you can get his books, do so. Because this is a very, very interesting and a bit of a head scratcher of a topic. So enough from me, right? Let's head on over there. And first up, let's check out David Paulides, okay? And up the top of his wiki page, and I know wiki, we'll see what it says. It says David Paulides is a former police detective who is now an investigator and writer known primarily for his self-published books, one dedicated to proving the reality of Bigfoot, and his Missing 411 series of books, in which he documents the disappearances of people in national parks and elsewhere. Now, Paulides attributes mysterious, unspecified causes to these disappearances. And it goes on to say, while data suggests, or data analysis suggests, that these disappearances are not statistically mysterious or unexpected at all. Well, I will keep an open mind on that. And if we come down here, it starts to talk about his Missing 411 work. It says, following his work on Bigfoot, Paulides' next project was Missing 411. a series of self-published books and a documentary film documenting unsolved cases of people who have gone missing in national parks and elsewhere. Now, according to David, his work on the subject began when he was doing research in a national park, and the off duty park ranger found him and expressed concern about the questionable nature of some of the missing person cases which occurred in the park. The ranger knew Paulides' background and requested for him to research the issue. So David obliged and asserts that he uncovered multiple lines of evidence suggesting negligence on the part of the park service in failing to locate the missing people. He then broadened his investigation to include missing people from all across the world, and this led to his belief that he had uncovered a mysterious series of worldwide disappearances, which defied logical and conventional explanations. Now, as of 2018, Paulides has written 8 books on this topic. According to a sobering coincidence, he does not yet have a theory on what is causing the disappearances, although he indicates that the quote field of suspects is narrowing. Paulides advised his readers to go outside of their normal comfort zone to determine who or what is the culprit. Outside their normal comfort zone, I think that's where the Freaky Friday audience live. The interest in the book's series prompted the creation of a documentary film based on the missing 411 books, and this film was released in 2017. Now, I believe that is available over on Amazon Prime. I've watched the documentary. It's very, very interesting indeed, but not half as interesting as some of the cases I've got for us to look into today. So first up, we come to a website called adventure.howstuffworks.com. 10 mysterious disappearances in national parks. And we start at number 10 and we'll work our way up to number 1. Now, we've got about time to get one in here before the break, which I will do. And like I say, later on in the show, we'll open up the phones and you can talk about your woo. And I'll also be asking you, there's no right answer here, folks, but I'll be getting your take on what you think is happening to all these missing people. So then, it says Bessie and Glenn Hyde were honeymooning in northern Arizona at the Grand Canyon when they vanished. They were traveling down the Colorado River by scow in October 1928 and planned to boat through the Grand Canyon. Now, Bessie would have been the first woman ever to do so successfully. Glenn had run tough rivers before, but Bessie was a boating newbie. The couple ran across other boaters a few weeks before their disappearance, who said they got the feeling that Bessie wanted to turn back, but Glenn was pushing her on. Now, if they completed the trip successfully, they could go on a paid lecture tour. So the trip was more than just fun. There was actually money at stake here. Cut to several months later, and the Hyde's boat was discovered that winter, seemingly undisturbed. It was both upright and full of supplies. But the couple, they were gone. Now, there are many theories about what happened to the Hydes. Did they disembark and try a too difficult side hike? Did they have an argument that turned violent? Or were they abducted? There are conflicting reports about what happened to the Hydes, and more than one Bessie Hyde sighting in the years that followed. Now, that's number 1 in my list of the missing 411 stories. We're going to be building our way up to, better ones than this, but that's just an example of the kind of strangeness. Boat just undisturbed. Looks like nothing at all untoward has happened. Only months have passed, and in between them being seen and the boat being found and vanished without a trace. 1928. This isn't a new thing, folks. In fact, this has been going on for a long, long time. Where do you think they're going? Do you think there's a logical explanation to all of these missing 4-1 stories? Or do you think, like me, that there's a number of factors at work here, and there's no one definitive answer that will cover these broad range of disappearances that have happened over the years? But we'll be finding out more when we come back after the break, when I give you more of the missing without a trace. And remember, like I say, coming up right after today's show, right here on Freaky Friday, Brent Thomas, he'll take you through the paranormal portal. And there's a rumour that he's got a really big guest coming on tomorrow night. It's a biggie. It's one of the biggest names in Woo. I'll tell you more after the break. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. I'll be right back. There we go, ladies and gents over at YouTube. So glad that all of you could be here today. I have been rushing to fix the graphics and get things sorted for just the one camera for Freaky Friday. Please bear with me, folks. I'm going to put up music on for just a minute. I need to get a drink of coffee. Need to compose myself. I'm used to doing 2 hours solo, never 3. So this is uncharted territory for the Kev Baker. No, it's not even the Kev Baker show, just for me. Or is it Dave Baker we've got tonight? I don't know. But take a little listen to this, and I, folks, will be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Part 2 of today's Freaky Friday with a difference. Yes, the Woo crew is not one. Well, it's not three anymore. It's not even two anymore. We're down to one. And don't worry, folks, there's no grand conspiracy out there. Joe Joseph will be along very shortly, I'm sure. He had an appointment to go to. And then, hopefully, myself and Joe, we can have our usual witty banter that we have between the two of us. You know how myself and Joe get on so well together. Yes, indeed. So yeah, don't fear, folks. There's no big story or drama in the background. Joe and Scott, they haven't deserted me, no. But poor Scott, he has been feeling unwell all week. So please give him a big shout out. Now then, coming right up after today's show is one of my favourite shows. And Brent, the host, knows this because he sees me lurking, watching and listening. And it's the Paranormal Portal. And before the break, I will well, I was. I won't will anything. I was telling you that tomorrow there's going to be an absolutely massive guest on Paranormal Portal. Yes, indeed. I don't mean massive as in stature. I just mean massive as in, well, it's going to be me. I will be here tomorrow. And for all the people in the chat room are saying Joe makes the show and Whistler makes the show and Jimmy makes the show and Scotty makes the show, I apologise, folks. You'll just have to make do with yours truly. What can I say? I know, I'm a poor man's Joe Joseph. I'm just a shadow of the man that Whistler once used to be. And I'm just not a patch on the man that goes by the name of Jimmy Jeans. However, I hope to guide you through the woo for the next 2.5 hours, if you will allow me to do so. Would that be okay? I hope so. I really do. I don't bite. I'm not as bad as they all say. Well, maybe sometimes. But before the break, we were getting into one of my most intriguing kind of topics that I've come across in my time looking into the weird and the woo. And it's David Paulides who is right at the forefront of the research into all of the weird and missing disappearances that we know about happening in the US, especially when it comes to the national forests. So, we started off with the strange and weird case of Bessie and Glenn Hyde in 1928. Not in 2028. That would be really weird if I had a story about people going missing in 2028. Then you would definitely know there was something weird going on, right? Maybe I'm one of these time travelers, only I can't be. Because we all know that if you're a time traveler coming back to this period in time, there's only one place you find them. And it's a very dodgy YouTube channel that for some reason either they're pulling a fast one and making up all these time traveler stories, or maybe since I keep an open mind, maybe they're the only people in the world with a working time machine. And you know where Apex TV is based, folks? It's in my favourite country, or one of my favourite countries. Yes, you go all the way down under to the land of Oz, and that is where potentially the one working time machine is. I laugh because I'm very skeptical. I'm very skeptical that any of those people that claim to be time travelers are anything of the like. However, moving back to something that we definitely can get into here, it's from now, it's not from the future. It might be in the past, but 1928, I was quite shocked when I seen that. I'll be honest with you. I thought this was rather a new phenomenon. And I'm certainly going to be getting a hold of David Paulides' books when I get the chance. I don't know, I just find them something really weird about all of this. And again, I'm not saying every single case that David's looked into. And I would assume, although we should never assume anything, but I'm quite sure David would agree that there is not one definitive answer that will tick the box on all of these cases. There just can't be. So let's move on. Let's get back into it, shall we? Alfred Beilhart's 1938. So what happened to Alfred? Well, 5-year-old Alfred Beilhart's, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name, is the first recorded drowning on Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park. Though whether Beilhart's actually drowned is controversial. He was camping in the park with his family. I almost said he was jumping in the park. Maybe he did have a jump, I don't know. But he was camping in the park with his family over the 4th of July weekend when he disappeared near the Roaring and Fall rivers. Now, Beilhartz had gone with his dad to bathe in the river, and from there he decided to join two family friends at a spot about 500 feet upstream of where he and his father entered the river. Now, when everyone returned to the camp, they realized that Beilhardt was missing. A search began immediately, expanding to more than 100 civilian Conservation Corps members within 45 minutes. But there was barely any sign of Beilhardt anywhere. A day after he disappeared, a couple hiking about 6 miles away from Beilhardt's campsite reported seeing a boy who looked like Alfred sitting in an area called the Devil's Nest. By the time the authorities arrived, though, the boy was gone. The search went on for 10 days and included 150 men plus bloodhounds, though the size of the search party had dwindled to a dozen by the end of the 8th day. That's a weird one. Like I say, there 1 minute, back to the campsite, gone. No sign. A potential sighting, maybe, but it's weird. So let's move on to the next one. Catherine Van Alst, and this is 1946. 8-year-old Catherine Van Alst disappeared from Devil's Den State Park near Arkansas Ozark National Forest. Now, hang on a minute, folks. Hang on. Hang on. It's Joe Joseph has been in touch. You see, he hasn't fallen out with me. That's it. Sorry to interrupt you, folks. So I'll get Joe at the next break. He'll be coming in to help me with this plethora of woo and mystery that we've got for all of you. So then, let me start that again. I apologise, folks. 8-year-old Catherine Van Alst disappeared from Devil's Den State Park near Arkansas Ozark National Forest when she and her family were camping. Van Alst apparently was playing with her brothers when she wandered off and got lost, and what makes her disappearance remarkable is when she was found 6 days later wandering the woods, she was eerily calm. University of Arkansas student Porter Chadwick was part of the search party that found Van Alst. Now, he told the Pittsburgh Press that when he found her, she walked stoically out of a cave and just said, "Here I am." Many other hikers have gotten lost in that part of the Ozarks and not been as lucky as Van Alst. A grown woman who was lost there for 17 days and died just 50 yards, 46 meters from the road. Now, a fan of Paulides' books has taken several 360-degree panoramic shots of a few locations where the people have mysteriously vanished, and there's pictures of them there. Not much use for the radio, so I'll go on. The person who compiled these panoramas suspect abduction. In the shot, you can see places where an attacker, whether human or animal, may have hidden in thick brush or behind rock outcroppings. If indeed it was an abductor, was it something, or was it someone or something lurking in the Devil's Den? I would like to know how it got that name in the first place. I wonder what gave rise to them thinking, you know what, we won't call this something nice and cutesy. We'll call it the Devil's Den. Ooga booga. I don't know. Just saying. So next up, we've got Paula Weldon in 1946. And it says here, there's an area in Green Mountain National Forest near Glastonbury Mountain and Vermont's Long Trail that believers in the paranormal call Bennington Triangle. The Bennington Triangle. I think that rings a bell, but we might check into that later. What is it with these mysterious triangulated locations? I'm thinking most obviously the Bermuda Triangle. And obviously, you've got various locations around the world. I think one's called the Devil's Triangle. I think that's over near Asia. I could be wrong. There seems to be these almost natural triangular locations that are very, very more likely to see strange things happen than any other location round about it. What gives cause to that? But anyway, back to the story. The area got its name because of a handful of mysterious disappearances which occurred between 1945 and 1950. Paranormal author Joseph A. Citro coined the term because of the supposedly supernatural circumstances surrounding these vanishings. Paula Weldon was the second person to go missing in that area of Green Mountain National Forest during this period. 18-year-old Weldon was a college student who set out on the long trail in December 1946. Now, she was dressed for walking and not a long hike, wearing jeans, a coat, and sneakers. Her attire implied that she was planning to return before dark when temperatures were supposed to dip below freezing. So Weldon told her roommate that she was, quote, taking a long walk, but she never returned. Several people spotted her as she hitchhiked her way to the trail and walked on the trailhead. And when Weldon didn't come back by dark, her roommate let the school know, and the search began. Classes were suspended so students could help with the search, and the process was disorganized at first until Weldon's father called in favors from police in two surrounding states. Unfortunately, the search didn't pan out, and frustrated friends or family and friends had their own theories about what happened to her. Did Weldon possibly run off with a boyfriend? I don't know. Maybe. Was she abducted? Did she maybe do something bad to herself? Or did she die of exposure because of the inappropriate attire? No one has ever discovered her body, so her disappearance to this day remains a mystery. There's a rumor that the area of the Long Trail is home to a creature called the Bennington Monster. Could this Sasquatch like animal have something to do with the disappearance? I would find that quite strange, to be honest with you. From my kind of research, I wouldn't call it research, just reading and listening to shows and things, quite uncommon for the Bigfoot, the Yowie, the Yeti, the wild men of the UK, whatever you want to call this creature that goes by many different names in many different countries. I don't think I've heard of too many cases where they really interacted or done anything bad to anyone. Could it just be some nefarious character hanging about up there? Did she meet an untimely end because she crossed paths with somebody sinister? It did say there was a number of people in a 5-year period. Could it have been some of these or one of these serial killer type people operating in that area? We just don't know. And regardless of whether people think these disappearances are natural or supernatural in nature, the cases do have a few things in common. The missing tended to be alone when they disappeared, or separated from their group by at least 50 yards. Bad weather and chaotic, disorganized searches are also a running theme in these cases. You can believe that these were accidents, abductions, or something even more sinister, but regardless, there are lessons in these stories about how to stay safer when you're out in the woods. Very interesting, that one. And folks, I am not here to tell you that all of these, or even most of these, may have a supernatural explanation. But it just takes those one or two, right, to make the woo. So moving on, number 6. Larry Jeffrey, 1966. I hate that year. Why do I hate that year? I wasn't even born that year. But it's all we hear about any time the World Cup comes on, because England won the World Cup in 1966. We'll never ever be able to forget about that. The only way they'll stop talking about that is if they win it again. Oh, God. Anyway, before I get into a fit of depression, let me move on. Larry Jeffrey disappeared near the park of 12,000 foot Mount Charleston in Humboldt, Toyab? Toyab? I know Humboldt because Humboldt is home to some very, very fine herb that gets grown. That's the Emerald Triangle, if I'm right. Just a short drive from Las Vegas. It might be a different place, and I'm thinking of Humboldt County. I think that's on the west coast up towards Oregon way. I think I might be wrong though. Could be wrong. The search began immediately after the boy wandered away from his brothers, and within days, the National Guard and a team of bloodhounds had joined the search. In a TV interview, David Paulides told reporter George Knapp, who also hosts the Coast to Coast AM radio show, amazing, that they were no predators afoot that day. And since the area, since the area they were in was pretty secluded, it's easy to rule out an abduction by car. Quote, this boy just walked into oblivion. When Jeffrey disappeared, he was wearing light clothing, and authorities were doubtful that he could survive the cold temperatures at night. Searchers found and lost the trail a few times, and they discovered evidence that the boy had been eating insects and foraged berries along the way. Overall, around 1,000 people searched for 16 days. But you guessed it. Unfortunately, they never found him. What did happen to Larry? Who knows? Number 5, and we're moving up towards now. We're halfway through this top 10 list, but I've got more. And there's lots more stories I've got for you as well. I've got weird men in black. I might have some dog men. And we've got Joe Joseph coming to the party after the break. Number 5, 1969. We're away from that 1966 year. That's good. I won't get triggered. Dennis Martin was on a camping trip near the Tennessee North Carolina state line with his family in the summer of 1969. Now, it was an annual Father's Day tradition. All of the men in the Martin family headed to Smoky Mountain National Park to camp and hike. Now, Dennis and his brothers had planned a prank on the adults, and they were each going to jump out on different sides of the campsite to scare them, as you do. That's what guys do, right? We prank each other. It's a pretty typical prank that should have ended with some startled shouts and then a lot of laughter. The laughter ended quickly, though, when they realised that Dennis was missing. Family, park rangers, and other hikers spread out to search for Dennis almost immediately, but he was nowhere to be found. That evening, there was heavy rainfall, which was bad news when you're trying to track a missing little boy. Now, the search for Martin became the largest in National Park Service history. One of the people searching was Park Ranger Dwight McCarter, who had successfully tracked down hundreds of missing persons, including young children. McCarter was a seasoned tracker, and he was struck by the complete lack of any sort of tracks. Now, Dennis seemed to have disappeared completely, leaving no trace, nothing, gone. Popped out of existence, nowhere. His disappearance to this day, still a mystery. One possible lead that the searchers didn't follow was a report from another family that evening that the boy went missing. The evening that the boy went missing. The Key family allegedly heard a scream and then saw a bear man. That's a quote. They described this as a bear man with something slung over its shoulder that looked like it could be a small child. Now, we'll never know whether this was related to Martin's disappearance or not. Think about that. You know, that must have happened pretty quickly because it says here they were going to play a prank. They were each going to jump out on different sides of the campsite to scare somebody. And it's a pretty typical prank and should have ended with lots of laughter. I mean, these people were all together. They only separated to go and hide, to go and do the prank. And yet nobody heard a thing. None of the group in question heard the scream. Just gone. Weird, right? I think so. But this is the thing with Missing 411. It's just bizarre. It's weird, it's crazy, it's woo, and I have no idea. A bear man? Could that be how somebody who doesn't really look into the paranormal and supernatural, would they describe the Sasquatch as a bear man? Possibly. 1969, what was the given term for these big hairy fellas that roam the woods? Did they even have a name at that point? I'm not sure. I can't remember when that Pattison and is it Pattison gimbal tape? You know the one, the big thing trudging through, it's like walking along the river. Some say that's fake, some say it isn't. I don't know. A bear man. Interesting. Number 4, 1971. Douglas Legg. So Douglas Legg and some of his family were heading out for a hike in the Adirondack forest. I think I done actually well there. Adirondack, yeah, I'll go past it now. Preserve, Santanoni Preserve. Hang on. Adirondacks Forest preserves San Antoni Preserve when his uncle spotted poison ivy and told Legg to put on long pants to protect himself. So the family's cabin was a short, straight shot from where they were, but Legg never returned. Now, unlike a lot of kids who have gone missing in the national parks, Legg was very familiar with these woods. His family owned the cabin where they were staying and described Legg as a mini woodsman because they all hiked there together so often. And Legg's disappearance sparked one of southern Adirondacks' largest, I probably absolutely butchered that, the Adirondacks, who knows, largest search and rescue missions with more than 600 people searching the wood. But like David Gonzalez, Legg left with no trail. Unlike the Gonzalez case, now I don't know why it's talking about did we do a Gonzalez case in here? Maybe we did, I don't know. Unlike the Gonzalez case, though, rescuers used dogs in their search. Now, some accounts describe the dogs following Legg's scent over a 30-mile trail through difficult terrain. How could a young child have travelled alone such a distance? Some searchers reported seeing bear-like tracks near the site. Now, while black bears do drag their prey to cover, dragging someone 30 miles over difficult terrain seems unusual. I would say so. But is it undoable? Bear tracks? Kid goes missing? Could we be looking at a more logical, even, it's tragic? Don't get me wrong, absolutely horrendous. But could that be the explanation for this one? Well, the family became desperate and began suspecting each other and even their friends of abducting Legg. But the police were certain that the mini woodsman had simply gotten lost. Yeah, you guessed it. Never found. I find that one really strange only because of the apparent experience, despite his young age, of these woods. It wasn't somewhere new they had gone. It was, by the sounds of it, a family cabin, a regular retreat. And and for the family to say he was like a mini woodsman, I would imagine that he was obviously quite clued up despite his young years on his way around the woods. So how do you end up your track going 30 miles the other way or in a certain direction? I have no idea. But what I'm going to do now is, folks, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add to the call our good friend, Mr. Joe Joseph. And I know some of you out there are going to be absolutely delighted because there's no Freaky Friday without Joe Joseph. Joe Joseph makes the Freaky Friday we've learned today. How you doing, Mr. Joda?
Hey, how you doing, my man?
I am doing very well, sir. Very, very well indeed. I am having a good time here going through some of the very best missing 411 cases that David Paulides has to offer. We'll be back after these short messages. Don't go anywhere. Yes, indeedy. So normal service is resumed. We have the Joda in the house. Yes, indeedy. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great. I'm getting a download right now, so you'll have to excuse me 1 second. Don't mean to. Pardon me.
No problemo at all. You see, that's how we roll here, folks.
Right.
You see, it's okay,
Yeah.
Joe. It's okay, Joe. I was informed today that I am a poor. I'm the last choice anyone would want to do Freaky Friday. You know, yourself, Scott, Whistles, Jimmy Jeans, all came before the legendary Kev Baker doing Freaky Friday. So I'm so glad you turned up to entertain your audience, sir.
Oh, entertain my audience, you say?
They
I'm
are.
not the one with the. I'm not the one with the accent, dude.
It doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter. I've been
Oh,
causing.
it matters.
I've been
It
causing
matters.
ripples in the force. I have been sending ripples out in the force, and I don't know, dude. I just hope. I just hope I kept the audience happy and satisfied until you turned up, my good friend.
What a crock of shite if I've ever heard it. Come on.
Dude, I'm not joking. It was the TFR chat room, dude. It gave me all the confidence I need to set out on a 3-hour show. It really
Well,
did.
I am humbled by that. For sure.
You
For sure.
see,
For sure.
and remember, Joe Joseph did teach me absolutely everything, and I mean everything I know. So I happily hand the chalice of woo to Joe Joseph. Yeah,
The
Joe,
chalice of-
I'll just sit here and make your coffee, Joe. It's okay.
Yeah,
Not,
that's okay.
not that I'm butthurt or anything, you know. I'm only joking, man.
Yeah.
Everything okay with you, dude?
Just lovely. Just
Yeah?
ducky.
Good,
Yeah, sure.
good.
Sure. Yeah.
Had a good week? Not spoke
No.
too much this week?
No, I've been a little busy.
Have you?
See, yeah, at the plant they've got this pesky squirrel that seems to want to go in and annihilate my equipment. And when I say squirrel, I don't mean it figuratively, but more like a gremlin, if you will.
Now, don't
And-
be one of
and
these
this-
people that calls the squirrels vermin. Don't be like that.
No,
That's okay.
I don't call it vermin. No.
That's okay.
I highly respect this squirrel. This squirrel is highly skilled.
Is it an
For
attack?
I have not.
Is it
Oh, it is.
Is it an attack
It is
squirrel?
a saboteur. Yeah, no, it's a secret agent squirrel.
Ah, it's one of those squirrels, is it?
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah.
shiver me
Special.
timbers. Shiver me
your
timbers. Yes,
right.
indeed.
That
My-
squirrel shivers mine for sure.
My timbers are shivered. So
Shivered.
yes, we're getting into some missing 411 stories here.
Okay.
In fact, I'll send you this one here. In fact, I just sent you it. We're good to go. I've got another few after that as well. But Joe, I was saying to the audience, I don't think we can really come up with one catch-all answer to the things that go on in the woods and the people that go missing and stuff like that. I think there's multiple different reasons, and I would probably, unfortunately, say maybe half, maybe more than half, might have logical, unsupernatural, unwoo-like reasons as to what happened, okay? But there's some of these stories, dude, it's just too bizarre. Way too bizarre. We had a child who was quite proficient in woods that he knew and just disappeared, but they tracked him for 30 miles. No sign, never turns up. I don't know, dude, there's just weirdness. There was another one where they're sitting on either side of the kind of clearing where they were camping and they were going to jump out and give a fright to somebody. But
What do we got going on over here?
whoa. Sidvich, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much, brother. Now, we're getting ready to go back to the network. I'm so glad Joe's with me now because even I know Freaky Friday doesn't work solo. We need that witty banter. We
You really
need,
do.
yes, we need that kind of back and forth that only Freaky Friday produces. So here we go. Let's go back now to tfrlive.com. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 of today's Woo with me and you and Joe Joseph right here on tfrlive.com. We're going out on iHeartRadio, TalkStream Live. We're even going to other dimensions. You didn't know that, did you? But I do. Yeah, I do, because I know the Woo. And Joe Joseph, he knows the Woo too. How you doing, man?
I don't know the woo. I depend on you.
Oh, come on. Can we get out of this rhyming with Woo, Too, and Poo?
It's good to be back on yet another freaky, and when I say freaky, I mean Freaky Friday, because it's freaky.
It's always freaky on a Friday, Joe.
So I seem to be thinking that there has been an uptick, at least in my guesstimation, here in New England. There has, at least, of Amber Alerts. Amber Alerts. Yeah.
Really?
Lot of abducted children.
Sidvich. That noise there for radio listeners is my quirky and brilliant Viking friend, Sid. And I've spoke to Sid. I've seen Sid on the camera. He's Viking all the way, by the way. But that is him being very, very generous. Thank you, Sid. I love you to bits, man. So Amber Alerts, Joe.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up a one of the most recent ones, and it was a little bit bizarre. What ends up happening is a family with basically 3 kids in the car recognize the vehicle that's been put out on the highways. You know, when they do an Amber Alert, all the signs get the license plate number, the make and model of the car.
Joe, can I say I think that's brilliant. I
do
really
too.
do. Yeah.
I really do too. And so anyway, this family actually recognized the car and went on a high-speed pursuit of it. and it was it was pretty interesting. I got to tell you that that they took that kind of risk, really. I'm trying to find it now, so just like I said,
Now,
bear with
did you
me.
say
Bear with me 1 second.
So they knew the car. Did they know the person?
Yeah, see, that's the thing is I don't know.
What is it with these? It's really bizarre, dude. You know, when I was growing up,
it really is.
where I grew up, I mean, everyone. It's Sidvich.
Yeah, he's a nut.
Dude, I love you, dude. I really do. Remember, there's PayPal as well, folks. Just saying. But no, I remember when I was growing up, right? Where I lived, even now, I don't think they lock their doors, Joe. Everyone knew everyone else. And although that doesn't guarantee safety, it was the kind of place where nobody ever had any worries like that. Maybe in the summer when tourists would come into the village and things, but it was something that I'm sure my mother never really had to worry about when I was growing up.
You know, man, it's interesting because it's not that we had, how do I say this? It's not that our lives were without risk. Quite contrary, there are a lot of things that we didn't factor in, either because it hadn't been thought of yet or because we didn't really give a crap. Like, for example, seatbelts, right? People knew about seatbelts for years and years. They didn't wear them because they suck half the time. They're uncomfortable. It just ends up being a big problem for a lot of people. And so you have all these places that pass laws making seatbelt use mandatory, but really that should be, again, this falls to personal responsibility. If you don't wear your seatbelt, right, then look it.
Said,
this is ridiculous.
Said, you're the man. Don't. It's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous.
I mean, it's not. Yes, yes. But seriously, think about this. Most places, most insurance companies will not pay you out if you die because you didn't wear your seatbelt. So, like, if you have a life insurance policy through work or say one on your own, I'll bet you look it up and see that they don't cover death if you fly out of a car and die as a result of not wearing your seatbelt. So if you decide not to, you assume that risk as you, the individual. The state shouldn't be enforcing that. There should be no seatbelt laws. It should be if I want to lose my life by flying out the windshield, that's my prerogative by God. And I knew and I assumed the risk of doing so, even at the peril of my life insurance policy.
Now, how did we get to seatbelts from an Amber Alert?
So it's just interesting. I have no idea how we got there.
I've got no idea either. I really
So,
did think
so I
I'd gone
found
to
I
another
found
dimension.
I found the story, and it was a kidnapping suspect. It says arraigned in let's see, Springfield, Mass. Says the man accused of abducting a Springfield girl, prompting an Amber Alert, was arraigned in court on Thursday. Miguel Rodriguez is primarily charged with kidnapping, assault with a dangerous weapon, and intimidation of a witness. The 24-year-old pled not guilty and is being held without bail. Though the arraignment was very short, the judge called specific attention to Rodriguez's mental health, which is a huge problem now. I will say this. And that's not to say that there wasn't mental illness when we were kids, Kev, or anything like that. But I think that the problem now is out of control.
Yeah.
I really, truly do. I mean, I don't know what it's the result of. I couldn't even go there because of how dramatically life has changed and how dramatically different the environment is from when we were kids to now with our children being their age and even them being to the point where they're having kids or soon, Kev? So I know it's crazy. But if you think about the difference between our generation and our parents' generation, not a whole hell of a lot really changed outside of you had television, right?
Yep.
And I mean, they had radio, we had radio. We really were the first generation to have a TV in every house, that kind of thing, But really, there wasn't much difference. We went outside to play, video games and stuff like that were in their infancy and really not.
But it wasn't, even though you had the Atari kind of system, the Mega Drives were coming.
You couldn't get addicted to that stuff to where.
Up my waist, Joe, it would only be if it started raining and you couldn't play football or shinty or you couldn't climb trees. Okay, we'll go and play the Xbox. We'll play Sonic or something. It was never.
That's right.
It never dictated a childhood life quite like it does nowadays. And there's two ways of looking at that, though, because coming from a big city like Glasgow, I can't guarantee that everyone's got everyone else's best interests at heart, and there are bad people out there.
Absolutely, there always is.
It's a trade-off, right? Because I do think that children are not having the same quality of play.
They don't have the same quality.
Yeah, they don't have the same quality of play. They don't get to use their imagination, I don't think, quite as much, because all of that now is provided via the stimulation brought to you by bright lights, flashing things.
Right.
Collecting
I mean, think
coins.
about it. Think about it, Kev. I mean, our parents, Ange and myself, and I'm sure old Pearlie kicked your ass out of the house. Get out there and play.
Didn't have to. I was up in the morning and gone, dude.
Oh, me too.
Yep.
Me too. But I mean,
Fishing,
there were
everything.
days.
Yeah.
There were days where I had to be coaxed a little bit because there was just a little too much He-Man going on. It's all good. It's all good. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that each generation has its own struggles. It has its own challenges. It has its own advantages. But I got to be honest with you, Kev. I don't see much of an advantage here. I mean, yeah, you got the internet, you got things like that, but is the side effects of it all, is it worth the value added from all the convenience that it provides? Is it really worth it?
Is it worth
that's
the
the
trade-off?
question.
I don't know.
To humanity, I'd say to humanity as a whole. Because I don't think I don't think anybody could answer that with any sort of honesty, there's just no way you could even approach that or quantify it. But I can say that I'd say from a challenge standpoint, this is going to be the most challenging I'd say the next 20 years are going to be the most challenging time in quite some time. World War II and everything aside, I really truly do. And I don't mean that from like a war perspective, but there's going to be some serious challenges that we're going to have to face.
Big time.
And yeah. And it's going to come in forms that we're not even looking anywhere close. And that's the way it's going to end up being, right?
It's the usual case, isn't it? It's the thing you don't expect. It's the thing you don't see
every
coming.
time.
Yep.
And in this case, here you have an 11-year-old girl just gets picked up by a 24-year-old guy that has a history of mental illness. It says here the judge in the Springfield court noted a previous restraining order in Rodriguez's files. So she ordered a mental health evaluation for the 24-year-old who's accused of kidnapping 11-year-old Charlotte Mokaya. So, totally lucky to be alive. In terms of characterization about what was involved in this, I'll leave for the court process, said the Hampden County DA, Anthony Gelini. Gelini was tight-lipped at a press conference after Rodriguez's not guilty plea because Rodriguez's records have been impounded. Gelini declined to answer questions about the suspect's past. He also would not say whether or not there was an evidence Rodriguez targeted Mokaya specifically. So the goal now is to keep him in custody and get him evaluated, they say. Those who live in Rodriguez's neighborhood told the news it doesn't provide peace of mind. They say this is very scary for us, like to send your kids to the store. I won't be able to do that anymore, said a neighbor who didn't want to be identified. That's interesting because, once that thing happens, it can never be undone.
No.
And that's why I tell you, like back when we were kids, there were things that hadn't really happened yet, so we didn't know.
The joys of innocence, Joe. Huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's hard. It's hard to think that.
I don't ever see any generation coming that are gonna go back to having the same childhood we had. It will never go back to that way of playing outside. Maybe you'll play outside virtually.
Yeah. But once the innocence is gone, dude, it's gone forever when it comes to that. So once we've shattered that barrier,
and it's shattered. It's
gone.
It really is.
Gone.
And that there, I mean, you say it was a good end to the story. They got her back and everything else. And
they get her back, but it's scary, dude. Think about that.
Absolutely, man. And even though she's okay, I'm sure there's probably still going to be lasting effects,
And you want to give your kids at least the quality of life that you had, if not better. You're always trying to shoot for that, And I just don't think it's possible.
So, Joe, let me ask you then, right? Because a lot of the cases I've been looking at out of the Paulides case file and the strange missing 411, a lot of them appear to be children. Now, again, there's going to be multiple kind of things going on here. There's no one answer, but do you think maybe even we were looking at back in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s? I mean, I don't think there was as many creepers, as I like to call them, about back then. Maybe there was. Do you think any of these stories that we're talking about, and there was a story of a location where there was 5 people went missing or multiple people in 5 years, do you think some of these characters maybe operated in and around these kind of locations? And instead of us like looking for the woo, maybe there's a far more sinister, down-to-earth answer for what's going on.
A conspiracy, if you will, yeah.
It just seems strange to me why the parks are always kind of keen. And I get it, maybe they don't like the tourists knowing that people go missing there. It's not exactly
Does it have to do with a sport that is looked fondly upon by the Chinese and an Italian food item, if you will?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It may. I would imagine that more of your urban missing cases probably end up in that chapter of the book.
Well, I mean, look at the Franklin cover-up, right?
Yep.
I mean, there you had an unbelievably egregious example of how far these sick pedos really will go to get where they want to go, you know? I mean, it's really satisfying their depravity and also their whatever sick, twisted, black or dark magic they choose to get into, and that whole demonic. Oh man, it's bad stuff, and we know it's prevalent.
Damn,
Both.
dude. Damn, the audience were waiting for your arrival, and you have taken a big dark twist to the missing 411 cases, haven't you? You've
Yeah.
gone right down the rabbit hole.
Sorry.
One minute
It
Joe
happened.
was there, and the next I looked back, and there he was, just feet first down the rabbit hole, gone.
That's it, man.
Just
That's
disappeared.
It.
Will we get back to
So.
the top 3 411 cases for now? Before
Yes,
I
go.
unleash your darkness again. I like your
No,
darkness, Joe.
Hey, by the way, I have to tell you that I feel so much lighter now, so much brighter now.
Ah, you got new lighting, Mr. Joe.
No.
No.
Do you want me to?
Oh, dude, you have got lots of lighting going on.
Don't make me.
Dang,
Don't make
dude.
me.
Dang.
Here, I'm gonna tone it down just a bit for you. So,
I was gonna say, listen, I'm not your interrogator, man. We're not gonna like grill you. It's okay,
Yeah,
dude. It's okay. You can remain semi-anonymous. I know you've got these dashing good looks that Angela loves. I don't know about the audience so much.
Oh,
I'm
dude, I
only
have a
joking.
face made for radio. You know that.
Same here. We came from the same mold, Mr. Joe. So, number 3 in our list of weird and mysterious cases, John Devine. Now we're coming up to more recent times, folks. 1997. Now, according to the Peninsula Daily News, Olympic National Park in northern Washington state has a feature that's not just majestic as its mountain views. At least 4 hikers have mysteriously disappeared from the area in the past 25 years, one of whom was a 73-year-old John Devine. Now, in 1997, Devine planned to hike into the park from Mount Baldy.
Sasquatch.
Well, there was one that said a family had seen something. It was a boy that had gone missing, and they described something as a bear man. Now, this was back in the 60s, so I don't know if Sasquatch was a popularized term then. I don't even know if it was a term or not then.
The Chittahoorie.
Chittahoorie came into a video I was watching today, but that's another story altogether. Anyway, back to this. The trail is a tough 24 miles, and though Devine was elderly, he was also an experienced long-distance hiker. Now, Devine was camping with his friend Greg Balzer. I think that's how you pronounce that. Balzer. That's a balzer to me, okay? No sweary word, just a balzer. And they split up on the day that Devine went missing. Balzer went off to hunt while Devine took off on a day hike. But Devine never returned. Now, the fruitless search lasted a full week until a rescue helicopter crash killed 3 people and injured 5 others. Now, by that time, weather conditions had deteriorated, making the chances of finding Devine slim. Friends and family say that Devine wouldn't want to put people in danger on his behalf, and the search was called off. Now, the search helicopter's crash is as mysterious as Devine's disappearance. Before takeoff, the pilot used a hand signal indicating that he was going to wait 5 minutes for conditions to improve before attempting it. A moment later, the helicopter departed vertically without warning and crashed into the side of the mountain. Now, that there adds a whole different twist to this story. Now, we've got a 73-year-old gentleman, health concerns, maybe health issues, maybe just that age, maybe something very natural occurred to him. However, a helicopter crash? Pilot tells them it's cool, I'm going to wait a few minutes before take off here. It's a bit rough. Only he didn't wait a few minutes and didn't tell anyone he was taking off. And as we read there, right into the cliff face. I tell you, that makes that one a whole lot weirder. Number 2. Aha. David Gonzalez. Now then, the Gonzalez was mentioned earlier on in one of the other cases. Why they had mentioned it before it got to the actual Gonzalez case, not sure. But 2004, at 8 a.m. on a July day in 2004, David Gonzalez asked his mother if he could have the car keys. There was a box of cookies in the car, and he wanted a treat. Now, the car was only 50 yards away, and his mother watched him as he walked to the parking lot near their Big Bear Lake campsite in Northern California's San Bernardino National Forest. She turned her back for a second, and when she looked round again, you guessed it, Gonzalez was gone.
Wow,
Now,
that's so crazy,
isn't
man.
it?
You know,
It's
and you
weird.
often hear that too. Like, I turned my back for 1 second and then poof, vanished, gone. So many cases of these, you know.
That's why, I mean, I remember Scotty, and people might have rolled their eyes at the time, but I tell you what, why not? He was talking about some kind of big bird of prey. He even went as far as the pterodactyl because it was a Freaky Friday. We were adding the woo. But how does something just disappear? No noise, Joe, nothing to alert the mum. The boy doesn't shout out. If it's an animal, surely you would hear some kind of rummaging about or struggle or... And I think the Joe is muted. Aha.
The only thing that I could think of is if there was some sort of plan, like they've been watched, and it was just that time that whoever abducted them just struck, you know, whether it be, okay, we know that they're going to go hiking in the woods or whatever, so we'll go and we'll kidnap them then, you know, because maybe there's some sort of, since you want to go down the conspiracy route, right? Maybe there's some kind of, you know, market. Maybe there's some sort of attribute or set of attributes that they're looking for.
Maybe the family could be involved.
Maybe too, you know, oh, they were insured.
We only get the eyewitness reports as the police do, and we can only take it at face value that the mother acted that way, and but in no way accusing the mother of anything here, folks. We're just brainstorming. And it says his mother reported that she heard no sound at all when her back was turned, though she did see a beige truck speeding out of the campground around the time that her son went missing. Now, since there were no signs of abduction, authorities didn't pursue that lead.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if she like sold her son?
That
You
doesn't
know,
make
over
sense, Joe. That doesn't make sense. Why would the authorities at least not try and pursue that lead about that van?
I don't know that unless for some reason it was discredited because maybe there was some sort of footage from the time period that she said, and it just didn't fit. It didn't fit. It.
Weird, huh?
I don't know. You know,
Well,
I don't know. But I can tell you that over in Syria, where they had the whole refugee camp, you had parents selling their children
I know, dude.
just to get money for food, to get money to survive. So, I mean, this stuff happens more so than we're aware. But of course, over here in the U.S. and over in the U.K., it's more of that, like you say, the 411s, the abductions,
I mean,
all that.
I would hate to think, right, that people like me and you, and I'm intrigued by the missing 411, and we're all really kind of on a Freaky Friday. We tend to look more towards the woo. I'm certain, you know, probably you're pushing me in this direction, though. I'm worried in case we're looking for too much woo and there's something far more nefarious going on here. But it says the cookies that Gonzalez went to get were still in his family's locked van, so he never made it to the car. Rescue teams in San Bernardino County scoured the woods for Gonzalez. They found no signs of struggle or the boy. The search went on for 9 days, but rescuers never found him alive.
Yeah.
Almost a year later, hikers stumbled upon the boy's remains about a mile from his family's campsite, and
Look at that
authorities
mountain lion.
chalked this up to a mountain lion attack. But how could a mountain lion have silently dragged a 9-year-old boy
Oh, are
without
you
leaving
kidding?
any blood or signs of struggle?
Are you kidding? You know how fast those mountain lions are, Kev?
Don't get many of them in Glasgow.
I mean, was there a picture of this boy?
No.
Right. So we don't even know how he was built. I mean, this kid could have been like a stick, kind of like I was growing up. If that was the case, a mountain lion could have.
9 years old, dude.
So I mean, not really so big. And if he's on the skinny side, those things are quite stealthy, and they sit there and they wait, and then they pounce, and who knows? Maybe they picked it up and gone.
Yeah. Good. Well, no,
I don't know.
I'm with you, dude. Like I said when I opened up the show, there's not going to be one answer that fits all of these. And when we come back after the break, we've got 2 more of these to go, and then we'll shift gears and we'll get into something else. Don't go anywhere, folks. Freaky Friday, TFRlive.com. Yes, indeed.
What about a freak unfortunate accident? Say like parent wasn't looking and kid does something and unfortunately ends up dying. A lot of times you could be charged with manslaughter or, child neglect, which could sometimes carry lengthy prison terms.
Yep.
And you don't want to go down that road, because you didn't mean it. Hell, you got to live with that for the rest of your life. But are you going to tell the authorities that it was through some kind of negligence that, your child bit the dust?
Chris in the chat room, Chris Fjord, says mountain lions will do a real lot of damage to a 9-year-old. Not in that language, but the language Chris used was far more descriptive and better. Unfortunately, though, not very YouTube friendly. I agree with you, Chris. And ZX81, I have to agree with that, sir. Not many mountain lions in Glasgow, but lots of cougars. Grr.
Oh, grr.
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. Our
or
favorite.
should I say, grr?
Well, something like that. That was a really soy grr, dude.
That is very soy.
That was like a soy cougar.
That's as soy as they come, a soy cougar.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude. So, anything of any interest happened to you during the week at all? No, nothing.
Are you kidding?
Lots.
I don't need any more interest. I just want to be left alone.
Lots that you can't share on here. That's fine by me, Joe. I've had a pretty interesting week as well. It's been been a roller coaster ride, dude. It truly has. It's been.
Well, no. All I can tell you is like for the last 2 weeks, that pesky gremlin has been wreaking havoc throughout my plant, and I'll tell you, man, we have been out straight trying to get things up, and it was just bad.
You need to make sure it's not one of those. Now, I don't know if people in America have heard of this or not, because I know we get them native to Scotland, but it's a really, really kind of specific species, or like a subspecies of the squirrel. They're actually called drop squirrels, and you've got to be well careful, Joe. Well careful, right? Because
Drop squirrels,
dude. What they do is they actually they sit up in the rafters, like in the roof. They're not like your typical squirrel, man. They just like drop down.
So it's more
and
of a
get you.
rodent.
No. They're highly trained. The drop squirrel. Never heard of a drop squirrel?
Sounds very, very, very.
They're already in the trees. They hide in the trees and they just drop on you, dude.
I'm gonna have a look-see for this drop squirrel.
Dude, I'm having a laugh with you, man. It's because
I know you are, but I want to see what.
No. I'll give you the full story, right? There was a story about Australia. There was a Scottish reporter went out to talk about the wildlife and things like that, and it's a known Aussie prank that when there's a tourist
there it is. Yeah.
Yep. They have drop koalas or drop bears. She fell for it, dude. And that's Australia for you, right? In the face of total adversity, they're still able to crack their absolutely brilliant jokes. I love Australians, dude. Yeah, we had a laugh with that one during the week, but I'm watching the clock. We're going back to the network any moment now. And don't forget, folks, tomorrow I will be appearing on the Paranormal portal. Yes, indeed. So maybe we'll have to take a night off tomorrow, Joe, or maybe go earlier or something on our weird weekend streams. But yes, paranormaled up. Here we go. TFR. Bring us back, Joda.
We're back, folks. I am so happy to tell you that we still have a half to go here on your protection from deception, tfrlive.com.
And
We're doing the missing
got, hang
411s.
on. Before we get back to 411, I got almost got Joe with the drop, well, not a drop bear, but a drop squirrel story during the break. And anyone who's seen one of my humorous streams earlier on in the week, you'll know what I'm talking about. You Australians, I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, but you
Quality.
know what, man? I could instantly tell. I was like, drop squirrel, you say?
Dude,
Let me
have the,
have a look-see about this drop squirrel.
dude, I don't have the face. I can't keep a straight face. I ain't that guy that can
Yeah,
deadpan deliver a joke. I'd be useless. Even though the Australians, I tell you, when you watch that video, it's so funny. But anyway, back to the woo, okay? There's no drop squirrels, unfortunately. Drop bears are dangerous. So the number one in this particular list of 10 mysterious
bring it.
disappearances. Pradeep Strawn.
Pradeep Strawn.
Yes, Pradeep Strawn.
There you go.
2013. So we'll just call him Pra. Pra was a 25-year-old Canadian Army reservist who disappeared from Australia's. Oh, hang on now. This is Australia's Kushkizarko National Park.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. Australia's National Park.
Wait a minute. Kosciuszko? Kosciuszko
National Park. Yeah.
That sounds kind of Polish, dude.
It does very.
What is this Polish national park doing in Australia?
Who
Wow,
knows?
who knew?
Who knew? Yeah. Let's just hope it's still there, Joe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying after everything that's been going on there. But it's located in the southeastern state of New South Wales. And Strawn was studying abroad in Australia in May 2013 when he decided to take a 1,700-mile road trip from the Gold Coast to Melbourne. Now, Strawn rented a van, drove to the park's Charlotte Pass in the Snowy Mountains, and no one has seen him since. Now, the search for the guy began when the rental company discovered that the van wasn't returned. Imagine that. It wasn't his friends that had noticed he was disappeared because the van company wanted their van back. I suppose at least it raised the alarm. So Strawn hadn't told anyone about his route or side hikes he was planning. And the search may have started days or even a week after he went missing. Now, since it was the rental company that first reported the disappearance, and searchers figured out his hike plans by looking at the search history on a laptop that they recovered from his van. And before we go any further, Joe, Australia, like the outback and things, I tell you what, dude, I've watched many an Australian drama. And there's been a few big famous cases in the Australian outback where
I love their 60-minute show.
Good, yep, it's good. But I mean, people, that outback, if you get picked up out there by somebody bad, or dude, you're gone.
What do you mean, like if you get picked up by? Oh, like somebody wants to get rid of you?
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah, it's probably almost
dude.
like it's like being out in the desert in Arizona or whatever. You know, it's just it goes on forever. They're never gonna find you. You know, or take them to those big ass ant mounds, and just have them like eat you.
Oh, we've got a new member coming in. If we hear some music in a moment, thank
Very
you
nice.
very
I'm
much,
appreciative of that.
Mr. Chris. Absolutely fantastic. So then,
Very nice.
Very
nice, Mr. Chris. Thank you very much.
To round this up, it says Strawn's family hired private searchers after Australian authorities called off their search after only 2 weeks. The investigators used tower data from Strawn's phone and trained a dog to track his trail to a treacherous area called the Western Fall Wilderness. Now, just one day before his van was due back to the rental agency, Strawn embarked on a difficult and time-consuming hike in snowy weather. Why would a trained military reservist make a choice like that? Despite a private search that went on for a year, nobody ever recovered. Tragic, man.
Telling you, man, those giant ants ate him up.
Think so?
Or a kangaroo, a cannibalistic kangaroo.
I tell you
Can
what,
happen.
I wouldn't mess with one of those kangaroos. We done a
Nah,
show
dude,
on
they
that
want
before.
revenge. They want revenge for all of the cruelty that has been exacted upon them.
What do you make of all that going on down there, Joe? We've not really had a
Dude, it's
chance to talk about it, man.
how the hell can you? I mean, it's we had some bad wildfires, and it seems like. Does it seem like more of the world is burning now, dude? Is it me, or does it seem like?
Joe, Sweden.
Let me throw this
But
out there. Let me throw it out
before
there.
that, right? Sweden in the summer just passed.
Yeah.
They had forest fires. Now they had to get firefighting helicopters from other countries because, funnily enough, being Sweden, it's not usually a problem up there. So even Sweden was having
But
fires.
what if they're burning down the forests to raise the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere, to manipulate the weather, to bring about a false crisis?
Well, we know they're definitely doing the weather, right? I mean, I think we've established that a long time ago.
That licked, but I'm saying that what if there's more to the plan than just.
Well, how about this, Joe, right? Now, Max Egan has done a big series on the fires, and obviously Max is going through a big episode right now, and I'm sending a lot of love out to Max.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm going to get to speak to him in the next couple of days. He actually touched base with me today, so I'm hoping to speak to him. He done some really brilliant research on the back of a comment that he got on one of his videos. And they said to him, have you ever checked into what makes up sparklers, Max? Sparklers, fireworks. And Max obviously hadn't, but he went and took a look. And 3 of the main constituents that you find in there just happen to be aluminum or aluminium, barium, and strontium. Now, you find that mixture somewhere else, and then you go and you hear stories about firefighters who have been tackling blazes for their entire career, and yet they turn round and we had the brilliant mammoth hunter. That's Jess and Dan Niggy. They were on the show talking about Australia, and they were talking about the fact that these fires, even the firemen there, and we played a clip, it's like nothing they've seen before. There was even some people reporting that there was white balls of fire between 50 and 100 meters wide. Balls of fire, Joe. Now, these fires that seem to be brighter than ever before, and I don't know, I'm being very conspiratorial, I get it. But that's the same kind of thing that you get when you light a sparkler, right? So you spend years spraying stuff that's in sparklers, and then fires happen that are just crazy, like you've never seen before.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, Kev, there's more to it.
There's a lot more to it. There's more.
There's more to it, and it's not because it's conspiratorial. It's because it's conspiratorial. I mean, it truly is. There's no doubt about it. There is a conspiracy afoot to alter the weather by spraying stuff that has so many different uses, which is the absolute most mind-blowing thing. Because you could say that you're spraying this stuff, it desiccates the air, so it pulls the moisture out. It provides an environment to where if you radiate it with a lot of radio frequency or microwave energy, you turn that environment into a plasma, which then can be used for things like an anti-missile shield or an atmospheric heater to take down satellites in low Earth orbit, or perhaps even the International Space Station, because that would be at the probably the extreme edge of a capability of a HARP system or something like that.
And Joe,
So
you done comms like I did,
sure,
and you'd have bounced signals off the ionosphere like we did
absolutely.
all the time, right? And you know at night how your two layers of ionosphere turn into the one, and you change your frequency to adjust for the bounce and the
Yeah.
footprint and everything, and voila, you get comms again. That ionospheric thing where you bounce it off something, that's what's really getting me here. Were we really bouncing it off the ionosphere, Joe, or were we bouncing it off a HARP signal?
No, we were bouncing it off the ionosphere, dude.
How do you know? Did you
Because
know
it
about HARP
works.
back
It
then?
works.
But did you
Sure.
know
It
about
works.
HARP back then? When you were in the Navy, did you know
Oh
about HARP?
no.
That's what I'm talking
no,
about.
no way.
Neither did I.
No. But it has nothing to do with that. I mean, think about it. From 3 to about, well, anything below about 28 hertz, or like I'd say 3, yeah, 28 hertz. That is your wavelength that you bounce off the ionosphere and back down, your HF. So now if you get into the VHF range, now you're starting to compress that wavelength, and that's what burns through the ionosphere. So, and that doesn't even lift it really. When you're talking about frequencies like VHF, it just goes right through. So in the case of an ionospheric heater, you want it at a lower frequency so that the ionosphere is going to absorb it. And typically that's right around the Schumann resonance, or that frequency that we're all kind of tied into. Now that is interesting, because if all these countries have these devices, and if they're hypothetically all radiating around that frequency, which just so happens to be the same frequency that gives, like birds direction and gives us our bearings and ties everybody together, and you start firing these things off, could that be part of that mental illness thing that we were talking about, where people are kind of going, like, you can't put your finger on it, but it's, do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Could it be something that simple where they're injecting a signal out there to, kind of scramble things up a bit? I don't know.
With the work that Aaron and Mel do and all the deep research and the stuff they've put together, absolutely there's a potential for that, dude.
Well,
Big
I'm
time.
I'm just asking the question so that, people know what to search, or go look for yourself. That's the big thing, is that you come to find out that one thing, that aerosol campaign, right, has so many different uses. And all at the same time, when they spray that stuff in the air, it sets forth just a ton of different paths they can go down. What are we going to use it for today, Spike?
Exactly. There's X, Y, Z, A, B, C different things that can be going on at once. It's bizarre, but I know there has been some rains in Australia. I haven't spoke to any Australian though, and I don't really
But
like
why
to.
don't they make it rain?
Oh, don't even start me, dude. It's ridiculous, right? We know they can.
So why don't they? Look, it's an effing emergency.
So not even that, dude. They've sold their water. All the water that they need is stuck behind dams. There's dams full of water. They're not even letting it out.
I'd just make it rain.
And then you had Jess and Dan coming onto the show, and they were talking about how for 40,000 years, the Aboriginal people took care of all of this. The forest management, they were able to put in the berms and the fire breaks, but
because they knew.
You can't do that anymore. Can't do that now. Know what I mean?
Yeah, you're going to upset the purple beaver of Sydney. I don't know.
You had to choose
that
animal, didn't you?
Well,
are beavers native to Australia? I'm sure they are.
I'm sure there's a variant of beaver that is. I'm sure.
Sure, the Oz beaver, maybe.
The Oz beaver.
Yes, indeed. So,
Yeah. So well, think about that. So why wouldn't they? It's silver iodide, dude. Throw silver iodide up in the atmosphere. Boom! You got clouds. You got rain. Put enough of it up there, you'll have a freaking monsoon. We've done it. We've done it multiple times in tests and in warfare.
Yep.
So if we can do it in warfare, why couldn't we do it in a way to stop a crisis? It's absolute rubbish. What? You're going to take rain from somewhere else? Who? Who's around Australia, outside of Australia? You know, whatever. Or we'll deal with it as a maybe that's what we need to do, is have like an international body that governs the weather, like an impartial body that oversees it, that says, okay, we'll manage that in times of crisis. However, we'll also ensure that crap doesn't happen anymore.
Take a listen to this. Here we go.
You bring in the oceanic rain, and we need to be conscious it's not about delivering rain on land, it's about nurturing a rain system that can promote agriculture and protect the people involved. So in all cases, we want to make sure we don't get flooding, but we can deliver timely rain in a gentle soaking manner into agricultural targets. Technology relies on a signal that we're able to generate that triggers a response from atmospheric patterns. So we're able to observe this using satellite meteorology, extensively available now to everyone who's got access to broadband internet. But we're able to utilize that signal sent in sequence to generate a incremental deviation in the flow path of these oceanic atmospheric rivers. So the source is the ocean, of course. The vapor, precipitable moisture flow is in the atmosphere. The winds drive this with the pressure systems adjusting the path of least resistance. But our technology is able to interface that and hack into it, if you like, and makes micro adjustments to allow deviations to occur in the flow pathways. And this is how we broke the drought in Australia in 2005. This is how we put out the fires of Victoria from Black Saturday in 2009. This is how we delivered rain in the desert in Saudi Arabia in 2007, and snow for the first time in history in 2004 in the United Arab Emirates. There's been other projects above the radar and some under the radar, but today for the first time we're putting our hand up in front of the media to say this is available. We're going to run this project here to break the drought in the Horn of Africa. We're meeting with Cabinet, Federal Cabinet for Kenya and the Prime Minister and other parties and authorities in the region. We've met extensively with United Nations teams and agencies, and we're planning to do this.
But we're not doing this, right?
Careful.
Exactly, dude.
We're not doing this.
Exactly.
We don't do this. Hey, there's a treaty. Nobody does this. Everybody does this, Kev. Everybody does this.
Yep.
Everybody's doing it.
You and Scott brought up that company Weather Modification the other week.
Yeah.
And you can go into their project and you can see all of the countries that they're working in, generating weather, playing with the weather. And people like you and me are going to get called conspiracy theorists for even daring to think it, dude. Doesn't matter that the mainstream media reported that the Beijing Olympics was free of smog and rain because they engineered it.
And I'm telling you, dude, there's a price to be paid, and they know it. That's what's worse, is they know it. And then, you know how it is, they always leak these things out some way, shape, or form. Like, for example, it just came out, Homeland, I think it is. I think it's called CSI Homeland. That's playing here in the United States. It's in its final season, and it just came out. I guess there was a book written about the, kind of the behind the scenes things and all this kind of stuff that was going on, and throughout this whole time of this series, the CIA's briefing them and telling them, and helping craft. And we know they do this all the
It's
time.
Homeland, right? It's just Homeland.
Yeah, Homeland.
That's the one that
Yeah.
had the AJ type character in the last season. Yeah, and it had
Yes.
that. Yeah.
So come to find out, it's the CIA that's pushing the whole storyline of this thing. And of course, that's all propaganda. So of course, it's great theater, it's great entertainment. I'm sure the storylines are awesome, but they tell the story and the boogeyman that they want you to see.
You're right, because I had Tiffany Jenks on the show. I think that's her name. Can't remember. She was a screenwriter in America, and I was asking her about that. The CIA, the Pentagon, how they've got the media relations, and they like interfere. And no, they don't interfere. They give you it, like you're saying here. They're all in. They're totally there helping you do these things, right? So I tell you, man, it's bizarre. It's weird.
It's as Mockingbird as it gets, dude. It really, truly is. I mean, it never went away. It just, again, just like the times changed. And with the time change, or as time goes on, things evolve or they change themselves, So it's not like, again, one generation faced their own threats. They have evolved into something else. And when our children have children, it's going to be different. And what is it going to be? And when I look at that, I see catastrophe. I see Snowpiercer, that kind of thing. Whereas we do something where we overcompensate, we take it too far, we do something that triggers catastrophe.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's in the collective conscious.
Isn't it interesting that Snowpiercer's now been made into a series as well?
I do. And like I said, when you watch that, it's a really powerful message that they're sending with that. There's a lot that's said in that movie, basically. And it is a truther's wet dream movie.
Yeah.
It truly is, man. I tell you what, when I was done watching that, I was like, whoa.
I remember you said it to me, and I thought, come on, it's going to be one of Joe Joseph's things. And 2 minutes into it, the opening scene, you're caught, you're captured.
Oh, yeah, you're
in.
done. You're just totally hooked. And that's it.
In.
And I mean, the end kind of leaves you wanting just, a little more. But
well, now you've got it. You've got the series now, So imagine the Easter eggs they'll have in there. Imagine the maybe working alongside some of these agencies that you've just mentioned, maybe.
Yeah.
Them contributing to the woo, the script, the hiding things in plain sight. Who only knows?
Well, that's it. So if they're saying that kind of stuff, right? But more importantly, it's the collective consciousness of humanity. You can hear it screaming. People are desperate. If you talk to people, most of them are like, man, I wish it would just get over with already. Like, with these up here in New England, you would think it's a bunch of gun control freaks and everything else. Well, it's not. Just like politics, it's very starkly divided. Yeah, you've got the wackadoodle, soy boy, that kind. But you also have the exact opposite, the polar opposites. And it's crazy, but it's crazy everywhere, and everybody knows it. Money-wise, everybody's broke. We're all living paycheck to paycheck. We're all scraping by. Cost of living's out of control. Can't afford health care. It's just freaking nuts. Everybody's throwing in the towel, or wouldn't mind if tomorrow the Almighty showed up, And it's just...
it'd be a perfect time to insert a fake one as well, Joe, when people are looking for that.
That's my point. So it's ripe for that kind of stuff, like First Contact or Disclosure, which, come on, it's already happened, but what are we going to do?
That's why I'm worried about the very highly controlled and directed disclosure we get from the.
Right. Oh, and then of course, you have the whole thing that you can't trust anything you see.
No.
How can you trust anything you see anymore with deep fakes and the ability to absolutely generate any type of footage you want, and then knowing full well that the powers that shouldn't be have the most comprehensive database that sucks up absolutely everything, and that AI, as it's sucking it all up and learning and learning and learning and learning, is just I'm speechless when it comes to it because of the type of power that they possess and the capabilities that are there, to be able to take your life because they see it all on a timeline, and they could generate. I bet you that they could take that, the AI could take that and probably simulate a movie of your life with
Easy.
you in it and not acting. It's crazy. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go away.
Very nice, Joe. Very nice. I like that. You could be in your own movie and not even act in it, but you'd be there. People would
Be
see
there.
it. That's Kev Baker. He done that.
That's
Look,
right.
it's him.
That's what I'm saying. And it would be probably pretty goddamn close to people, I would wager to say that most would probably not be able to decipher between.
You would probably need another AI program to analyze it to look for the telltale fingerprints of a deepfake. Whatever
Exactly.
goes on behind the scenes, above and beyond what we would see, Joe, it just looks like Joe and Kev. But it'd be able to look at the ones and the zeros and maybe, but then the deepfake AI gets better and
Yeah.
better and better, and it only gets better.
That's my point. And look at the rate of advancement. How fast things are evolving.
but at the same time, though, right? I had a really great caller to the show, and he's going to come on one night real soon. He works in AI. He
Okay.
actually does machine learning, and it's a very, very laborious, time-consuming, and tedious, very, very tedious process, Joe. Now, again, I don't think our friend Andy maybe works for DARPA. And it's not that I'm saying what he's telling me is wrong. I totally agree with him, 100%. No reason to doubt it. It's what I've read a lot about AI. It is time-consuming. It is hard. It's not just like you fire up a couple of lines of code and away goes an AGI. Geordie Rose, he pulled Sanctuary AI, closed the website. Why? Because it's so hard. They're nowhere near cracking it and going to commercial yet. But, like we often say, what do these military-industrial complex companies maybe have? That tech's way ahead of us. And no offence to Andy, he's absolutely probably right at the forefront of his profession. No reason to doubt it.
Right. But how
do
much
you have
farther
that-
ahead?
Yeah, do you have that clearance to know? Because if
No.
you don't need to know, you ain't getting to know.
And again, let me say this. You don't have technology like the Nazi bell in the 1940s and not advance from there in 80 years?
Myself and the boy were watching The Mandalorian last night, new Star Wars spin-off series.
Okay.
And we were watching it together. It was great. He's like, Dad, that kind of stuff we're looking at here, that's not unimaginable. We could be doing these things right now. And we're looking at the spaceships.
Yep.
And I'm thinking to myself, I was glowing with pride, by the way. I'm like, that's my boy. He thinks like me. But it's just like Joe said. They had that, in the 40s? And it didn't go anywhere. Even with
Right.
paperclip and things on the go.
Right.
So those minds that worked on that, they just went nowhere, right? I don't think so.
Tesla could crack the earth in two with his death ray.
Yep. Do you think that's what happened in Tunguska?
Maybe.
I know there's people think that it was almost like maybe a test to show that it worked. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, they know it works. They know it works.
I know,
It's
dude.
scalar. It's scalar, and they know it works. That's not the issue.
Scalar, Joe. It's scalar.
Yes. It's scalar, Kev. And I'll tell you, they know it works, Kev. The
Well, when we
problem
come
is,
back after the break, we'll get into this. Then the last segment of the show, we'll open up the phones. I did promise we would put the
oh, very
phones on.
good,
Yes,
very good.
indeed. So last segment of the show, folks, we'll get the phones on. I'm getting ready to put us back onto the number one network, tfrlive.com. Thank you all for being here on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. Here we go. Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, Wookiees, Z's, he's, she's, they's, everyone welcome in here. We're dead inclusive. Yes, I'm trying to tick all the boxes so I can get a
Wow, dude,
BAFTA award.
that was an impressively inclusive third-hour intro.
You like that? You do like
I
that?
like it.
Now, I haven't forgotten, ladies and gentlemen, and all others. I will be putting the phones on after the next break. I tell you what, me and Joe, we've hit this fine vein of woo. This conversation that only takes place on a Freaky Friday. There's something in the air, Joe. Whether it's
True that.
frequencies or nanoparticles or AI, I don't know. But we were talking AI during the break. And I know I used to be one of the loudest voices on the internet. Ringing the alarm. Ooh, ooga booga, ooga booga. But after some time, some more reading, talking to other people as opposed to just one or two out there, I've got a real different kind of idea about AI now, and I don't fear AI at all. Now, when we get to the artificial general intelligence, which I think is still a way away from us experiencing, a different ball game altogether. It's like comparing apples and oranges. When
Do
you've
you
got
think artificial general intelligence exists?
I think they're working on it. Do I think it exists right now? Well, I will show you an article that I have here. Give me 2 seconds. I will pull this up in this one first to make sure I've still got it. Yeah, there it is. I covered this on the show, the Kev Baker show, not long ago, but it's worth pulling up here. And the article comes from TheVerge.com. It's July last year, titled "It's Sentient." Meet the classified artificial brain being developed by U.S. intelligence programs. At the final stage of the 2019 Space Symposium in Colorado Springs, attendees straggled into a giant ballroom to listen to an Air Force official and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, remember them folks,
Oh, yeah.
executives discuss, as the panel put it, enterprise disruption. Very nondescript.
Really? That is extremely vague and vanilla.
The presentation, exactly. It stayed as vague as the title, until a direct question from the audience seemed to make the panelists squirm. Just how good, the person wondered, had the military and intelligence community's algorithms gotten at interpreting data and taking action based on that analysis. They pointed out that the commercial satellite industry has software that can tally shipping containers on cargo ships and cars in parking lots soon after the pictures are snapped in space. But when will the Department of Defense have real-time, automated, global order of battle? And the answer was, that's a great question, said Chirag Parekh, director of NGA's Office of Science and Methodologies. And there's a lot of really good classified answers. In other words, you don't need to know. He paused and he shifted in his seat. Next question, please, he said, smiling. But he continued talking, describing how, quote, geospatial intelligence, it no longer simply means pictures from satellites. Oh, no. It means anything with a timestamp and a location stamp, and an attempt to integrate all that sundry data. Then Parekh actually answered the question, when would that translate to near instantaneous understanding and strategy development? Well, if not now, he said, very soon.
Yeah.
And it's called sentient, and it goes on to describe a virtual brain, Joe.
Yeah, of course, because again, they've had this thing licked as far as, how do I put it? I think it's working out the bugs. I'll bet you that almost like HAL, it's probably in its raw form. And it's going to take some, it's probably taking some seasoning, if you will, some growing, some however they're doing it. But I think this thing exists, dude. At least one, if not all the major countries. You're telling me China?
Does it scare you, Joe? Does it genuinely scare you?
I mean, no. To be quite honest with you, I don't fear death. I'm one of those people that say, hey, you know what? 6 foot dirt nap. When it's time, it's time. I don't care. It just happens. It happens. So however that, this goes, it really doesn't bother me. However, I will say that just like anything else, these things are tools. But when does the tool become more than a tool? And
when do we become the tool of that?
Or it doesn't, that's not necessarily true though. That may not be the way it goes.
I don't think it will. I really don't.
You know what I mean? It may not be the way it goes. Is it a possibility? Yeah, it's a possibility. You have to say that you'd be horribly ignorant to say it's not, but it's certainly not the only possibility. And
do you think it's inherently evil? Or could be?
I think it's going to be inherently what it observes.
I think it will be the product of the data it's trained on.
Yeah, it's much like humans. We are a culmination of our life experience.
It's like a child, dude.
Yeah.
It's literally like raising a child.
And it will be no different. However, it's going to have capabilities that far exceed ours.
So does it take us to the next level?
That's the thing is does it?
Or does it
because
leave us behind?
how does think about this, right? Is what they had in the Matrix really that far off? Only what if they promised you, instead of it being like a Matrix or, like this one reality that everybody lives in, what if it could be whatever you wanted it to be? Almost like a holodeck-ish type of thing. But, you basically plug in or whatever, they give you your frequency, boop, you put on your helmet, out you go, and you get to live out your life however you want to,
Sorry, dude, I was getting messages there. It's
no, and the AI is the thing that brings about that technology because of how fast it can advance it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It's
Think
weird,
about
right?
the next generation. They say the next generation of smartphone is going to be like a wearable device of some sort.
Well, hang on, dude. Somebody just said, keep talking. I've got a story. You can't.
Yeah,
this is
contact
synchronicity.
lens. Like I think I saw one. It was contact lens. How they were integrating Google into the contact lens, to where you could just there it is right there.
Yep, and it's John Fuller. How weird that this is total.
How do you like that? Wow, dude.
Synchronicity. There you go. The end of smartphones.
Oh, wow.
Working prototype of a smart contact lens unveiled. And I remember, hang on.
How do you like that?
I remember you and Jimmy Jeans absolutely laughing at me when I said that would be the thing that comes out. Can I have that apology now, Joe? And now he's muted himself up. Look, he's too embarrassed to say he's sorry to me. Look.
I did say it.
No, you and the Jeans absolutely abused me. You were like, that's ridiculous. Who the hell's going to wear a contact lens, Kev? Anyway, well, there you go.
Well, I tell you this. I don't think it'll take off. I think it'll be like Google Glass.
Oh, no, I don't think, Joe. I
do.
You think so?
Yeah.
We already have... mostly women, but some men do as well, wear cosmetic contact lenses, merely to change the color of their eyes.
It's cost prohibitive. I think it's going to be cost prohibitive. Yeah, sure.
You think
absolutely?
That? I'm going with that. I'm going with this being a thing. No, maybe not tomorrow, But this will be the thing. And there's a film out called Anon. It's nothing to do with the group Anonymous, folks. It was a Sky television production. They made a movie. And basically, everyone's got these lenses. And when you're walking down the street, it's like something out of The Sims, because above everyone's head, and obviously it shows you from the police point of view this, but above everyone is their ID. Their name, their designation.
Right. Yeah, right.
You see what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying. However, I think where this will be available, it's going to be costed outside of a lot of people's capability to pay. And we're still one generation of, I think, wearable tech before that becomes achievable en masse. And when I say that, I mean, like, you notice how flexible technology and nanotech has enabled to make, like, clothing that, you know, you can integrate computer circuitry in it now. You could actually, you know, basically have or glasses or something like that. But I think
don't see the glass. Like the Google Glass, it was just a good idea. Good idea. But
I get it, but I mean, I think there's one more generation of like that wearable tech before everybody gets that, because it's just too expensive. If
the only
hard
thing
lenses for
for
people with astigmatism, right, are $1,500 a lens, how much is it when you put that in there?
Dude,
you know what I mean?
That's in your country, man. We don't pay that money over here for specs. If you pay that money for specs, you're off your bloody head. You're muted up again, dude.
That's how much it would cost me if I got contact lenses, because my eyeballs are shaped like olive pits. So as a result, I have to have a special lens.
$1,500?
Yeah, $1,500 a lens.
Move over here, dude, will you? Just up sticks. Come over here. And
I told you, it's awful. It's called
terrible,
rationed
man.
healthcare. It's what you got to do because you can't afford it.
That's awesome. That's awful, man. That is. I'm not saying there aren't people in this country pay that, but I mean, Anne's got glasses. The wee man's got glasses. He's looking at the contact option, but I tell you.
Well, for most people, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
For most people, it's cheap, you know, and insurance covers it. In
my
case,
because you're half Nephilim and you've got Nephilim eyes and a human body, I get it.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so what does it say about these things, right? Mojo Vision, I like it. Mojo Vision, a tech startup firm, has unveiled a working prototype of what it claims to be the world's first true smart contact lens. You see, this would open up the world of augmented reality. It really would. This is where you would walk along with one of them on, and individually tailored ads would come out of stores. Joe, you were looking at this. We've got it on sale today. You know, and you're like, oh, nice. Maybe a big arrow a couple of streets down. Joe, head here. You know?
X-ray vision. Yeah, that's
awesome. This smart lens is essentially a miniaturized display that can be worn in the eye. The company say it could provide directions, sports scores, or even let them see in the dark. Essentially, it's a mini computer. The best part about it, no one will even know it's there. Been designed so that people can't see it, and according to Senior Vice President of Product and Marketing, Steve Sinclair, I wonder if he's any relative to John, the company has made it so that the interactions are also extremely subtle, done only with eye movement, ensuring that no one is aware of the presence. And I mean,
it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that Stephen Hawking technology, eye movement.
Well, our mobile phones, they track our eyes now. They know where your eyes are.
Yeah, but I mean, how the hell does it know? Like, okay, by my eye movements, I'm going to Google, or I'm going to
blink twice. Blink,
dude.
You'd set it up yourself. One blink for Google. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm just kind of brainstorming it.
I know. I'm sure it's going to be much more simple than that.
Voice activated. Google. Why not?
Why not just go full Monty and just like implant it in my head?
Well, this is what I was going to counter your next generation with, because this is the year now that we will have people with a neural lace in their head. This is the year that goes to trial, possibly goes to market.
When are we going?
what was it Musk said? They would be in kiosks and like shopping malls and things. It would be like nipping in and getting a tattoo. Out you go
Okay.
again.
Let's go.
You wouldn't take one.
Oh, dude, in a heartbeat.
I mean, I wouldn't. I think I would jokingly, but I think if it came to the crunch and I seen that big thing about to come down and stitch my head,
Come on, dude. Take the plunge.
it's all good to laugh and joke about, but it's not for me, I don't think, dude.
Take the plunge, dude.
No. I'm not taking it. As much
It's
as I
like-
love Elon Musk and I joke about, yeah, I'll be first in line. Come on, man.
Okay, so it would be like having Siri in your head, right? Only we would call it like Brian, for example, right? But could you imagine just, Brian, I need to learn German.
There it
And
is.
then,
There it is.
There it is.
German.
I'm just
Wow,
saying.
We are in the sci-fi time, right? Big
But I
time.
mean, now, if it gets to that point, right?
Why won't it on this current curve?
Wow. I mean, but what's next? That's my point. It's like, at what point, where do we have left to go at that point? I don't know.
And how do you even know what thought is your own now, let alone when you've got one of them in your head?
Oh, that's the thing, So
And if you've got
I
something that
don't know.
networks out the way, Joe, you know anything on a network.
Right,
it's
of
hacked.
course.
It's hackable.
It's vulnerable.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
vulnerable. Yeah, but I don't honestly know how you avoid it without. If society goes that way, let's just say, how do you avoid? I don't know. I don't know. It's bizarre. Like I said, we're facing something that, honestly, I don't see any history of humanity facing this before. At least in the modern era,
not this,
or
not this jump of
not this
technology.
incarnation, if you will.
I mean, what would have been the last big change like this? The car? Like a change from like
You mean like a earth
jump.
shattering
Yeah,
change?
like a jump.
I would say the Industrial Revolution, like the
yeah.
like the development of machine tools and that kind of stuff that brought about automation, that brought about, like the steam engine, things like that. I think
I would imagine at the time there was probably people absolutely anti any kind of motorized vehicle. I'll stick to my horse. That thing will never take off. That's dangerous.
or that pesky machine's taking all the jobs, which that was said during the Industrial Revolution, and somehow we made it. So now we're at that point again where AI is starting to eliminate those jobs and robots are eliminating the jobs. And I'm telling you, folks, let them have it, because wouldn't it be great to be able to force the hand of all of these non-representing representatives and actually demand that we figure out a way around this money problem and go to a more Brave New Worldish type of utopian society. What can I say? I like Aldous Huxley.
Joe, sponsored by the New World Order.
That's right. Sponsored by
Man,
Carol Quigley and the New World Order.
I thought myself and Brendan Drackler had triggered some people earlier on in the week, but Joe
I
Joseph.
can't wait to hear what people got to say about that.
Oh, I tell you, man,
Come on, H.G. Wells and I, we go way back.
because he had a time machine, right?
Of course he did. Bada boom,
Bum,
ching.
bum, bum. See, you walked into that one, man. Come on.
I did. I totally
yeah,
did.
I don't know. Listen, I can't tell you this thing's going to take off, but it's always been something in my mind that's
Because it's going down that road.
Yeah.
You know it's going that way,
Of course
dude.
it is, man. Look at that. Okay, that there looks a bit like, come on now, come on. You're gonna
I know.
You're going to look like
I know
a
what it looks
cyborg.
like.
I know what it looks like, Joe, and we're not going to say it, but it looks like that. Are you going to shove one of them in your eye? Wouldn't be good. Indeedy,
Sure.
Joe, indeedy. But yeah, it says here the tech built behind it all is extremely interesting. Right at the center of the smart lens is a miniature micro LED display which features a pixel density of 14,000 pixels per square inch, which is actually a world record according to the company. Now, for quick compression, the brand new, or for a quick comparison, sorry, the brand new iPhone 11's crystal clear Retina display has a pixel density of just 323 per inch, which is minuscule against the lens. Dang, dude. Now, I'm going to drop the link so that people can actually go and watch the video in their own
It's
time.
really something else, I gotta say.
It's, I mean, this kind of thing doesn't inherently scare me at all. I would take that.
No.
I would take that. You could take it out again, you know?
Yeah, I guess because it's removable. But okay, so then there's the factor of, and we've said this before, how RF is radiation. No matter how small, the damage is still cumulative. And now you're putting a radiation or radiating device, again, no matter how small, right on your eyeball. So you have to wonder, if that's the case, are we looking at increase in ocular cancers and things like that? Because here's the other thing. Recently, we saw that Neil Peart had passed away, and he had a glioblastoma. I've seen, I don't know if it's just because they're for some reason getting a lot more news coverage, or are more people getting brain cancer? It seems like it's on the rise. And if that's the case, could that be the first sign that we're seeing of the cumulative effect of these RF transmitting devices that we all have on us all the time, or that are in our house? You know, we're now in a time where we have truly changed the environment. And we can't look at the environment like, okay, well, it's 68 degrees out and it's oxygen and nitrogen and carbon dioxide. By God, we've got everything we need.
Good golly, Miss Molly.
Yeah,
We're off.
because there's so much more than that now. You know, we have totally and completely changed our environment, I think, well outside the scope of what we were designed to operate in. I think that well, think about it. We're really fragile beings. You know, we think we can, some people think that they're, you know, much more solid than they really are. You could be in 68 degree weather, right? And a 30-degree variance colder, and you're getting hypothermia and dying. I mean, it's pretty fragile when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, that a 30-degree, even 20-degree difference, and you're exposed to it for an extended period of time, you get hypothermia, you die.
Yep.
You know, we're really fragile in some regards.
You've got a pretty small window when you think about it, of like,
you do
living kind of conditions, really.
You do. I mean, you know, like, think about
Joe,
it.
Even when we think back to the ancient times, we talk about the potential for high technology, but I think more along the lines of acoustical or something cleaner.
Like they went down a different path.
Something far cleaner, something more natural, dare I say it.
Yeah. Or, you know, maybe it had its drawbacks too. You know, maybe they had just a different set of drawbacks. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was more of that golden age utopian type of society, and it just got destroyed because of cyclical cosmic events.
Really, why do we not find any of the tools, though? That's what gets me. You'd expect to find, I know we speculate a lot about high tech, right? And we kind of rubbish the given mainstream explanation of how the pyramids got there and things, and we come up with these fantastical ideas. But the one thing that I do openly admit is, well, where is the technology? Where are these tools? And not all archaeologists are bought and paid for. You know, I'm sure they're not all in a Rothschild collection somewhere. I mean, where is the evidence to support our claim there? Or did it come from elsewhere?
Did it come from elsewhere, or was the event so cataclysmic that very little survived it?
Well, yeah, there is that as well. That's
you
that.
know, and also, you know, like Max Egan and people like that Mud Fossil University propose, are we walking on that evidence every day? You know,
Well, you
are
know what I
we
would, you know, I would support that in some ways, and
in
this,
some ways?
yeah,
Yeah, I too.
and
Yeah.
and listen, I'm not saying that this is definitely a thing, but I've said to Anne for a long time when it comes to Oak Island, I think that that entire island could well be man-made. And because they're looking at like the time of the original searchers, 1795 and things, they've got this kind of set sea level. And it was only the latest episode at last. I sat there and went, Eureka, somebody at last. And it was a Dr. Spooner from, I think it was Ontario University. And he says, the actual construction of part of the island, the swamp, dates back to something like 12 AD. And we're now going to have to start taking into consideration the different levels of the seas at the time. And I'm thinking, bingo, dude, bingo.
Ah,
There's a lot more to be uncovered on that island, but we'll be back after the break. The phones will be open for you to bring the woo. We'll be right back. Have you been keeping
yes,
up to date? Have you
fantastico.
been keeping up to date with Oak Island, dude? And the reason
I
that,
have not. I have not.
if you think, you've watched the program though, yeah?
Oh yeah,
Well, you know how there's like the Smith's Cove, like where they're allegedly.
absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
they put like they call it like I think it's doesn't matter, it's like a drained. Well, what would you call it? Oh, I can't remember the name they use for it, but they stopped the water, right?
Okay.
And last season they went so far out, drained all the water, and I tell you what, they found there was unbelievable. They found an old slipway going right out, which would have been under sea level today, right? So they're thinking, well, how the hell did this get built if this was under sea level? So, end of last season, they thought might have to push out a bit more. So they put a bump stop, sorry, and it gave them a 50 extra feet to go and excavate. That's like 7 feet underwater at high tide, and they're still pulling out evidence of like piers, quays been built for boats to come along and offload. And even at the end of that, where the dam is and the water, the Atlantic Ocean is sitting, they still need to go further out because there's more underwater. And they're all looking baffled at each other, going, but how could these people have constructed this underwater? And I'm
Oh,
thinking,
because of global warming, Kev.
and I'm thinking,
Because of global warming.
I'm thinking to myself, you are not thinking about the sea levels, and I don't think they're actually thinking long enough back. We've got 12 AD now for a swamp. I tell you, dude, there's so much going on there, and I don't think they've even scratched the surface. It's
No,
unbelievable.
no, and
But
that's
it
the
ties
thing
in,
is that,
but it ties in with what you're saying. That could be
well, let's
layers
take it
upon layers.
take it a step further. We've not even explored the land. What about what lurks under the ocean?
Well, look at Graham Hancock. His work
Oh
springs to mind.
man,
Yeah. All the ruins.
look at
and
all the stuff that they found in Mexico underwater.
Look at, there was a
Off
tsunami
of Puerto
somewhere.
Rico,
Yeah, Puerto Rico, all around
they
there.
got the pyramid under there. Yeah, I mean
seems
it's crazy.
quite common. Yeah, it seems more common than not that there's going to be things underwater, which ties in with
Yeah.
your flood. I
Yep.
get that. But yeah, I remember one place, I believe it was India. And it wasn't, I don't think it was a major tsunami, but it was one of those ones where, you know how it works. The water comes out, goes way out to sea. So it exposes a lot of the actual seabed before it comes back in again. And shockaroonie, when it starts going out to sea, what the heck's that out there? There's walls and there's buildings and hang on a minute, but nobody even knew about it. Well, now they do. Well, how far out does all this go? What was the plan? Is everywhere? If you dig down enough, will you find something? I don't know if I'm ready to go to the mud fossil guy yet, Joe, but I'm getting there.
No. But you know
I
what
still
ends
think
up
there's-
happening.
I think there's some aspects of his work that are spot on. By the
What
way.
ends up happening, dude, right? This is just me talking.
Yep.
But what ends up happening is everybody's journey's unique,
Big
and
time.
everybody has different pieces of the puzzle that make up their answer, and you get those different puzzle pieces from different sources, and you put your puzzle together, you know, and like I said, everybody's puzzle's different.
It's like I said, opening up last night's show, your truth is your truth, but it's your truth. And
It's
your
true.
truth will be different from somebody else's truth and shouldn't affect it.
Amen to that.
Let's bring in the hosts and then I'll hook up the phones. Here we go. There we go.
And here we are. Hello, everybody. We're back. It's the last half an hour of Freaky Friday on your protection from deception, TFRlive.com. I'm Joe Joseph, the man without the accent. However, the man with the accent, Kev Baker, is opening up the phone lines as we speak, and we are going to take your call. That's
yes,
right.
So we are. This is exciting stuff, Joe. I tell you what, the Kev Baker show has got some of the best callers. But before we go anywhere, I want to give the Ancient One a shout out, or the Ancient Once a shout out. I missed that in the roll call, so I apologise. The Ancient Once, you've now been included.
Does that mean that person was ancient once, or were they the ancient once?
I don't know. Maybe they were ancient once, as we all probably were, and then we reincarnated and come back. And do you believe in that, Joe? Reincarnation?
No.
No? Doing no?
No.
There's no right or wrong answer. I'm not trying to trip you up, dude. It's just because it came up there. That's all. I find it quite hard to believe when you see these like ones on television where everyone was somebody famous. Well, that can't work. Not everybody could have been a historical figure, you know. That's a bit weird.
Well, not only that, but you know, it springs to mind the whole thing that Popeye used to tell me. You know, considering what you and Ange have been through, you must have been Eva Braun and Adolf Hitler in a past life. It's like, I just can't come to terms with that.
If it's a woman, usually they're Joan of Arc. That'll come up.
Yeah, or something. Right, something. But I just can't come to terms with that.
We can't all have been Joan of Arc, folks. But listen, I don't I'm open to it. You hear these stories about children that are born with miraculous memories of things that they could never have been privy to. So,
but is it that, or is it just the
quantum field, the information field?
Exactly.
Big time, dude. Big time. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's more along the lines of that, and we just truly don't, you know, human beings, as arrogant as we are, and quite honest, as smart as we are, we haven't even scratched the surface there. That's why I always say, you know, we haven't even explored our oceans yet, and we want to go off planet.
To Mars. Yeah, I know that's a bit. I know, and
get it.
I used to think, Joe, that it was like almost can't tell people in alternative media if you've got a show that you don't know. I mean, you can't do that. I have found that people absolutely love the fact that me and you and others out there, we do it as honest as we can. We're wrong more times than we're right, but at least we try, and we'll tell people, look, what might be our idea, it might be something completely different for you. And I think, you know, that's why Freaky Friday, TFR, is probably the success it is. Because we're quite happy to admit we don't know. We just don't know, folks.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely not. And okay, guys, the call-in numbers in the U.S. 213-233-3998. That's 213-233-3998. In the U.K., it is 44-203-393. 2871. That is 44-203-393-2871. So I'm looking forward.
Now, I would say that's anyone outside of the US, because I believe since that's the number to phone into the US with the US dialing code, I'd imagine our Australian friends as well. We've had callers from down there. We done the Australian special the other
I
night.
have no idea, Kev.
Yeah, yeah, it is, dude. It is. That's what they call it anywhere.
I am one of those willfully ignorant individuals that don't do much in the international calling scene with things like
Dude,
Skype and
dude.
everything else, you know?
It's weird, right? Because I've got
Yeah.
like the package where I can phone anyone in America, a landline or a cell phone, but I can't call anyone in the UK because it costs
How do you
me
like
more.
that?
It's crazy, but yeah, here we go. We have got a caller. Now.
From the great state of Colorado.
Yes. Now, wait a minute now. Welcome to the show, caller. I don't know your name, so talk to me, man.
Hello, Kevin. Are you there?
I am here, dude. Can you turn your radio down in the background?
You betcha.
Is this
Hey,
our
I got you tonight.
is this our good friend Vince?
No, my name's Rick.
It's Rick.
Rick, yeah.
I thought I recognized.
R-I-C-K. Rick.
How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
You're doing great, man. Listen, I want to thank you about the stuff you're talking about with the rain, right? That we can cause an effect in Australia as a group.
Yes.
I like to understand something. Yeah, Kev, I'm 55 years old, and I would have never thought that I could reach up to the clouds and manipulate them, dude. I run around now where I live at, and I demonstrate and I show other people how to do this atmokinesis, right? Now, how I got there was Dr. Emoto's water experiments, yeah?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You can do it at home, rice and water. So I did that for myself. And then this last summer, right, I cut 3 patches in the weeds. Plants do the same thing, just like Baxter's plant experiments. And then I started reaching out for the clouds, brother, right? And what I do is I use my finger like a wand and visualize a vortex going to that cloud and dispersing it, right?
Now,
And
Rick,
I disperse
Rick,
it.
can I just pause you there?
You got it,
Because,
man.
listen, this is so synchronistic, Rick, because after I finished my show yesterday, I spoke to my good friend Nancy at length, and we were talking about when I put out that call for people to try and meditate or try and do something to affect the weather. Now, I was quite embarrassed asking at the time. I was a bit shy about it because it's not my kind of thing. And if I can't explain what's happening, then I'm not really confident. But
Now, hold on 1 second. Now, were you wearing your wizard's cap?
no, but Joe, for example, there's the global there's the global consciousness experiment and things where people meditate at certain times and
Is this more of like that quantum healing, okay.
Absolutely, dude. Because when people, like, for example, I was watching a video the other day, Rick, and I'll let you take it after this. And it was somebody called Roger Nelson, a PhD, a physicist, and he is somebody that's part of this random number generator network.
I see.
He was talking about the day of
Roger Nelson.
That's the one, yeah. He was talking about Diana's death, the funeral. And, of course, he was running random number generators. And because it was a global event, he told people, other scientists, he said, pay attention, just see if anything happens, anything spikes around the time that the world are focused on Diana's cortege, the funeral. And lo and behold, just like on the morning of 9/11, just like when they done a global meditation to try and lower crime, the random number generators started to do something very, very strange, almost picking up on this quantum conscious field. So I really like what you're saying here. Tell us more, man.
Yeah, we're a collective consciousness. I have no doubt in that, I mean, there's things like experiments where we put puzzles out there to people, right?
Yep.
And then test them, right? And then we don't let them look at the newspapers or anything, right? And test them again. And because it was out there, they score higher than they were, they have a better average in the score. I would have never thought this stuff growing up, all this stuff has been completely hidden from us. Bro.
It makes you
Right?
wonder
I
what
mean,
capabilities we truly do have.
as a group, yeah. What can we do? You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't get real biblical, but you know, can we move mountains together? It
I
sounds
think
possible.
we really are
know?
more powerful creators than we think. Remember,
Yes, sir.
whether we do go for the Bible or not, I mean, I like to think that we are made in His image, and whatever you may think he or that
Yeah.
is, and if we are little creators
Right.
on that scale, perhaps, you know, we can, and maybe that's the biggest secret of all, Rick. You know, that would be the biggest secret of all, the fact that we
Yeah.
have the power to change everything.
Everything. Yes, sir. You know, and what links everything together and is being occulted is the sacred geometries, all the way from understanding the platonic solids up to Nassim Haramein.
Yeah.
He nailed it.
Dude,
The ancients put this
we were
stuff in
talking about him
stone,
last
man.
night as well.
You know?
Myself and Nancy were talking about Nassim last night as well. Now, I must hands up admit I've not checked out Nassim Haramein in many a year, but not because of any reason, just because
Oh,
there's so
you
much.
got to see Nassim Haramein.
I will do, bro. I will
The
do.
Tetragrammatron.
Yep.
Tetragrammatron. Yeah, look that one up. It'll blow your mind. And he has a story about the Ark in that. Oh my, the Ark of the Covenant. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a little excited.
No, dude, that's
Yeah.
okay, man. I'm
So,
excited listening to
it's
you.
amazing. Look into that one, bro.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he just talk about my ark?
Yeah, your Ark of the Covenant, Joe. Exactly.
I'll be doggone.
Rick, listen, you have just.
Joe,
Do you
Joe's
think
in
then
into the Ark of the Covenant?
he is into
You're
the
gonna
Ark?
love this story. I'm not gonna give you any yeah. No spoilers, right? You just look into this one, man.
So,
It's
Rick-
amazing.
No spoilers.
Rick-
No
Nassim
spoilers.
is
Rick,
incredible.
before I let you go, can
No
I
spoilers.
ask you? I
No
mean,
spoilers.
I was quite almost nervous about asking people to focus attention on Australia the other night, but if you were listening to that, I take it you thought
No,
that
I was in on it.
awesome.
I laid down and meditated and was going, man. You know, you betcha. I'm knocking clouds out of the sky, and I don't know. Now I can knock a cloud out of the sky time after time, no problem now, right? Now we had a forest fire in a local neighborhood, and it was choking my elderly parents out in the valley next over to me, right? I don't know, bro. You know, I'd have to do it time and time again.
Rick,
But I think I actually was able to call
Rick, you're
the
giving me
rain in
goosebumps.
on that forest fire.
Dude, you're giving me goosebumps here.
Pardon
Do you know
me?
what? You're giving me goosebumps because
I'm sorry about that.
no, it's brilliant
I didn't mean
because
to scare you.
no, it's not scaring me. This is synchronicity. Myself and Nancy last night went for a
Oh,
20-minute conversation. We ended up on Skype for about 4 hours, and she was telling me about a lady
Yeah.
who, like you, she tried starting to chase away the chemtrails. And like you're saying, like a wand with a finger, I
Oh.
don't know the exact process, but Nancy was telling me that this woman claimed to have
Yeah.
results. Now, that's 2 data points.
I don't think it much matters about what you're visualizing as long as you're visualizing something. I've seen others on YouTube that, you know, they do a different process. I'm not saying you have to do it my way.
No,
You know what I'm saying? You
dude,
just have to understand that you have the power.
Rick, you are
Pardon?
Rick, are you the guy that that emails me by any chance?
No.
No,
I
no.
tried calling into you. The night before last, and it didn't work. I don't know. It just
Probably.
you'd seen my number, and I seen on YouTube that you were trying to pick it up, and it just wouldn't work.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know.
right. No, that's right. That's how I know
But
the
tonight it's
number.
working.
That's how I know the number. Now, that's weird, right? Because something obviously wanted that call not to go through. But, Rick, I've got another caller on the line.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to call back
All right,
into...
brother.
Yeah, dude, you're a lead. You're a star,
Yeah, I
man.
gotta go take care of my animals anyway.
You go do that, dude.
All right, man. I love you.
I love you, man.
Namaste. In the
Namaste.
Take care, my man.
Absolutely.
Right?
Wow, Joe.
You
See?
bet.
hang on. Sorry about that, Rick. Sorry, I thought you'd gone there. Sorry. What were you saying, man?
What was that?
I thought you had gone and I cut you off. I'd
Oh.
actually muted it, so I apologize for that. I think you were saying something.
I was just saying namaste in Lakesh ta. Translated, brother, that means I bow to the divinity within you. I am another yourself, many things, one suchness. All right, brother. I'm going to go take care of the animals. You guys get on it, right?
We're on it,
Take care,
bro.
Rick. Take care.
Absolutely. Joe, see what I mean? We have some really special people out there. Now we're going to, where's this, Joe? Grand Prairie, Texas? Is it? Is it Texas? Area code 214. You are
Okay.
live.
No, it's Dallas. Grand Prairie's in Dallas.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. What's
Can
your
you hear
name,
me, Kev?
I can hear you. What's your name, my friend?
It's Brent Howell.
Hey, Brent, can you turn your
Yeah, and
radio or your YouTube down a little bit so we can, it's just feeding back a little. So
I
what?
don't have any. I don't have anything in the background.
Oh, that's cool. It
Nothing.
must just, it's just me. It's all right now. But tell me, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I'm blown away, Kev, from Rick's last call. I had a little something I was going to say, but that is, like you guys said, both you and Joe, what powers do we have that we haven't been told about? And think about it. The first prerequisite to having those powers is to think you have them, so that you can
that's
exert
right.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like they say,
Yeah.
seeing is
So,
believing.
that-
Maybe seeing something in our mind's eye is enough to help generate it, create it. We are very powerful, and I think that might be one of the biggest secrets.
Yeah, I think it's like, it may not work all the time because of all sorts of things, but I know that sometimes I feel like I can control the weather too, I mean, to some extent,
Yep.
But, it's like what you put your focus on and what you put your energy into and how well you can do that. It's like, the experiments, if you focus in on that and you really are in touch with all the electromagnetic energy flowing around us, we probably have stuff we can't even dream of right now.
I totally agree with you. I really, really do. Now, I don't know if you were going to call in on that or if Rick had really blown your mind.
No.
But if there's anything else, dude, you want to get out there, we've got one more caller on the line, but we've got enough time for a couple of minutes if there's
Yeah.
anything else you want to comment on.
Yeah, real quick so we can get that other caller in.
Yeah.
It's a YouTube. It's called New Earth, and it's about the megaliths. And she has one film on knights' armor, and there's some ancient knights' armor. If you look at it, no human can fit in it. And she's talking about some sort of sea squid or something must have come up and got, did genetic engineering and turned itself into a human or something. I just thought I'd mention that. It's called New Earth on YouTube.
Oh, wow, dude. I will check that out. Anything to do with megaliths, ancient stuff. I love all that stuff. Thank you so much for calling in, man.
Well, thank you, Kev. You're a gentleman.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
I'm just another you, my friend. Call back anytime, sir, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless. Right, now, moving on then. We've got time for one more caller, maybe, and we're going to Denver, Colorado. I don't know who this is on the line. I don't know who it is on the line. Who am I talking to?
Oh, this is Alex Jones, brother.
Alex, how you doing, man? I didn't know you listened to Freaky
I'm
Friday.
good. I just been smoking a whole bunch of DMT, brother.
Hey, come on. We know Mao likes the DMT, right?
Mel likes DMT for sure. That's where I get the good stuff from.
So, Alex, I didn't know you were into the woo. I thought you were kind of more into the politics side of things, and I didn't know you were a KBSer, dude.
Well, you see, this guy Andy, he put me on to you, and he said, "Hey, you should probably call up the Kev Baker show sometime and you should, tell them about all your woo. And well, here I am. I'm here to tell you all the woo that I make up. So,
Do I have to take some of your pesky iodine to get your woo, Alex?
Well, I mean, if you want, I mean, it's only $19.99. I mean, we're running a special right now, so it's only $9.99. Maybe by tomorrow it'll be 9 cents and 99 quarters of a penny.
Oh, man, I can't stop laughing. Dude, I have to break the act. Andy, honestly, man, I thought that it was you that had phoned in first. I seen the Colorado number, and I'm thinking that's why I said now. I don't know who this is, and then it wasn't you, but you're here now. What's going on with you, Andy? Enjoying the show?
I honestly, man, I was dealing with some drama here at work. I'm still at work, but like I just got done with work, so I was listening to your guys' show, and then I dealt with this other crap for the last hour, so I missed everything. So I'm gonna have to go back and rewind.
I was
but
singing
I saw
your
guys
praises
doing
again, man. I was
phone
singing,
calls, and I figured I'd entertain you.
I was telling Joe Joseph, I was saying Andy comes on, and he really has cleared up a few things with the AI. I was telling them how you told me it's not as easy as we think, and it's really quite time consuming. Joe's here now, so you can tell Joe what it is you do and the machine learning, and should we be scared, Andy?
Boo.
You should be absolutely the scaredest. Alex Jones is even scared.
See? I told you, Kev. I told you. We're all going down by the head.
He's so scared, he's selling iodine tablets to control the DMT robots that are with the elves in the other dimension with Joe Rogan.
The machine elves, I
the
know.
machine elves, yes.
Definitely do.
Machine learning elves.
Machine learning elves. I like it.
Anyway.
You should get that in a t-shirt. I reckon your colleagues would like that. Do any of your colleagues listen to what I say?
Machine learning elf on the shelf?
Yeah, do any of your colleagues
No.
listen? No, they don't listen to me. I think you need to hijack like the PA.
What?
I think you have to like pipe KBS.
I kind of try to keep.
On you go, man.
I try to keep anything I do, out of the realm of work, so that people don't look at me sideways, like the woo woo I'm into.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm exactly the same. I'm exactly the same
maintain
way.
a level of professionality.
Does that make me your dirty little secret, Andy? Am I your dirty little secret? My word.
Kev, you're my dirty little secret.
No, Alex Jones is my dirty secret.
I'd imagine having a job in America if you were to talk about Alex Jones openly. I think that might be the end of your career. I heard about a girl.
You think so, Kev?
Well, I heard
Only
about.
if you're leftist.
There was a girl yesterday who lost her job at a dental practice only because on Facebook she put #MAGA, Make America
Is that
Great
right?
Again. So one of the clients from the clinic wrote a
Kev,
review.
are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. I'll dig up the story right now. Yeah.
Wow,
I'll dig
that's
it up.
crazy.
And because there was a negative review, they sacked her.
Oh, that's awful, man.
Oh God.
Yep.
I'll give her a job. Find her information. She can be our receptionist or whatever. We need a new one. Ours sucks.
Well, Andy, I'm just going to read out this story quickly. So I'm just going to mute you up just for a moment, and then you'll get your chance. Okay, 2 seconds. And just so that people don't think I'm making this up.
Speed read that. 3 minutes.
Yeah. All I've got to do is put the headline, and it's dental assistant says she was fired after writing MAGA 2020 on Facebook.
On Facebook?
Well, one of the clients went on and says, perhaps you need to vet your staff better before actually advertising on the internet. And it pointed to the MAGA comment.
Ridiculous.
So I would imagine she's going to win a lot of money in a lawsuit.
I would have to imagine that that's got to be wrongful termination,
Yeah. So, Andy.
That is 100%. Yeah.
Andy, it's Freaky Friday, right? We usually talk about the AI and stuff like that, but what's your favorite type of woo? Like your dirtiest secret of the woo?
Yeah. Come on.
Oh man. So, I am a UFO nerd.
Awesome.
Dude, let me tell you a story, and this is the reason why.
2 minutes. You've got 2 minutes, dude. You've got 2 minutes.
Right, like, I'll make it as fast as I can. Okay, so when I was 16, I was on a date with a girl, and we lived out in the middle of nowhere, and there's no spotlights anywhere, but, like, by our house, we saw dropping lights from the sky, out of nowhere.
Jittery.
I can't explain it. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen, and that was like the first encounter I've had with anything. Okay.
Braze?
Well,
The second one was I was with some of my Wookiee friends, like American Wookiees, not like Star Wars Wookiees. Like I'm talking like dreadlocks and a lot of pot. So I was with some of my smelly Wookiee friends from Boulder here, and Boulder's a smelly hippie community.
Nice.
Anyway, we went up into the mountains, and on the mountain range, and I'm talking like Colorado has mountains.
oh yeah.
Big mountains, not hills. There are lights traversing the backside of this mountain, and there is nothing where we're at. Like nothing, because there's parts of Colorado you can't get to unless you walk and hike.
Andy, we are out of time, my friend.
Yeah.
But for I know, but for the listeners out there, just so people know, Andy really knows what he's talking about because he is an amateur drone enthusiast. So he knows things in the sky. We're out of here, folks. Don't go anywhere. Brent Thomas on the way. We're out of here. So, Joe Joseph, we're still here on YouTube for a moment. Aren't the phones far much better than you ever imagined?
Oh yeah, the lag is still a little bit poo-poo, but you know what? You're never gonna avoid it.
No,
and who cares? I gotta say that that was some of the most diverse conversation. I'm gonna try the cloud thing, dude.
Well, what have we got to lose, right? Picture it going away. Picture what you're doing. See it in your mind's eye and do it.
I can't do any worse than the weatherman.
Exactly, Joe. I mean, you're not going to harm anything unless we're really powerful and you start taking things out.
Talk about the best job in the world where you can be wrong more than half the time and still keep your job.
I know. Well, there's been a podcaster and a weather forecaster, right? Because I'm wrong more than half the time. You people know that.
But yeah, we gladly accept our wrongness. Yeah, we embrace it along with our toxicity.
Folks, this has been awesome. It's been
Very
really
good.
awesome.
Thank you, everybody, for supporting tonight.
Talking of toxicity, really good clip with Joe Rogan and Jimmy Dore about male toxicity kicking about on YouTube right now. The full interview is awesome. Love Joe Rogan. Yeah, I'm going to try and get Joe onto the Kev Baker show. It's unbelievable. It's impossible, right? But we can create our own reality. And if I want it enough and I can see him sitting on that camera there, who knows? We got Geordie Rose. We got David Icke. Why not Joe Rogan? He's the next one. Yeah, exactly. The bigger, the better. Get onto KBS. You ain't real till you've been to KBS. Even Alex Jones phones into KBS.
That's right.
Sort of. But folks, we will be back tomorrow in some way, shape or form. And don't forget, tomorrow night, I'm going to be on the Paranormal Portal with Brent Thomas. So please tune into that, TFR Live. Brent's going live right now on TFR and on YouTube. So me and Joe will let you get back to your day. Go check him out. Go do what you're going to do. And remember, keep it real because you literally not only are the change, you're going to create the world that we want to be in. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo.
Oh my
but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. You love that, Joe?
Oh my God, for the love of God.
Why don't you like it, Joe? Come on. Why don't you like my squeaky voices and silly voices and
things like that?
Two words, Kev. Cheese dick.
Ah, you like the cheese dick.